past all of them as well. What a move from the 48. Oh, look at this, and onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Well, welcome along to the home of British motorsport, and in typical British style, the weather is not on our side. We are going to have an entertaining evening of racing, I have absolutely no doubt. However, those in fear of northern influence, I ask you to fear not. The gang is back together, as it's once again myself, Lewis McGlade, alongside me is Cameron Roger, bringing you the broadcast as always. It's Hugo Luis. We are strapped in and ready to go, and ready for what I'm sure will be a fantastic evening of racing. If a little bit drama-filled.
Absolutely. Looks like it's going to be a little bit wet out there, and I can't wait to see what these guys are going to do. Of course, in the Ford 1600s, we do have just one set of tyres. There's no sort of wet weather tyres. They just have to stay out there on the track. So hopefully we'll see some action out there as well. But we are halfway through the championship, and it's certainly hotting up.
Yeah, so obviously I jest about the northern influence. Thank you to you and O'Leary for covering us too for the last two rounds when we decided to be part-timers. Either way, to remind you of the format, of course, we start here with the UK Formula Ford 1600. Of course, we have two races across the evening. Second one being that all-important reverse grid race. Of course, those both being 15 minutes. Before that, though, we'll be having qualifying underway in about 3 minutes' time. This is the season that we've had. Of course, we're now halfway through the 2025 campaign. We've done Donington Park, done Thruxton, Snetterton and Alton Park International, but here we are, Silverstone Grand Prix, before we head to Knockhill north of the border, and I'm sure that will be causing its fair share of its drama. So the most northerly races followed up by the most southerly as we depart the United Kingdom and head over to Zandvoort for the penultimate round of the season before returning to West Kingsdown in Kent and to Brands Hatch to round out the 2025 campaign. Here are the prizes, of course, for the 2025 season. The top two drivers of the championship receive a fully funded entry into the 2026 British Formula 4 Esports Championship, as we've seen over the last couple of years. The winning driver will also receive the Hoisingveld Ultimate Plus Black 3 pedal set, with second place getting the Sprint 3 pedal set, and of course third place getting the Sprint 2 pedal set. And they also, all of the top three, will receive a named trophy to remind them as to how they dominated the competition. This is how things stand, though. Of course, a double victory last time out for Crofton Woodhatch sees him with a 24-point lead over Jaden Sherwood, who also returned to the podium for both races at Alton Park. Fair shares of drama, though. Hayden Bramley, of course, having issues in the second race at Alton Park, ends up now third in the championship, just ahead of Matt Kendall. 195 points for Kendall, of course, getting a fair way off that top lot. 190 for Sam Sanderson. It's Miller, Kangas, Loudon, Summers, McClements and Decker. I do believe two of those being Summers and I think it is Jeffrey Decker, who also will be, correction, it is just Charlie Summers, Jamie Hopper and Mario Rass, who will all be excluded from qualifying, so they'll be starting the first race of the evening from the rear end of the field. Who better to have a little quick look whilst we're in practice around this circuit than our championship leader Crofton Woodhatch. It's the first time Cam last round out they actually got a solid result in a second race in a podium.
Yeah, he's been struggling, I should say, in those second races in Thruxton P12, Snetterton P15 in the second race, but he's had 3 poles and 2 wins in the first races, so he's a lot stronger there. But as ever, you get to reverse grid and it becomes a lot more difficult. He did get the victory last time out, though, but there were some shenanigans around some penalties out there. The stewards being very busy indeed, and to be honest, he's showing to be the class of the field. Just has that little extra edge, especially in the qualifying. But today, when we come into the wet weather here at Silverstone, you never know how that is going to affect things. And it's such a long lap in these Formula Ford 1600s, you know, the big Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be, yeah, I think very, tricky out there for some drivers to perform.
Yeah, of course, we'll see the full flying lap once we've got going in qualifying. They get 4 laps in that 10-minute session. Can guarantee one thing. they will not be using all 4 of those laps. Absolutely impossible to use around this Grand Prix circuit, especially in these conditions, Cam. The lap is far too long.
Yes, we are looking at, what, about 2 minutes 20, so if you include the out lap, yeah, they're never getting all of the laps in, which means you only get really a couple of proper flying laps, maybe one final opportunity, which means that you're gonna have to be on it today. You can't be making any mistakes, and here, if you make a mistake in the first section, through turn 3, turn 4, through the loop section, you're just going to lose that time the whole way around the lap. So it's going to be very, very important to nail the qualifying today. But there are about 5 straights around this track, so in the race there'll be a lot of slipstreaming. However, starting out the front is always good.
Certainly so. And again, we can see the session's about to tick over into the qualifying. If you are wondering where British Formula 4 Esports is, well, that'll be up and underway in about an hour's time. And will that see the same conditions to what we have here? I do believe it will. So we'll be interested to see how that one unfolds. Of course, for British Formula 4 in real life, they did have that non-championship round here at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Of course, supporting a small championship, and you might have heard it's called Formula 1. They were supporting that weekend F1, F2, F3 and F4. That'll be exciting to see F4 race around here in the esports variety. Of course, for the Formula Fords, there is also a little trip for them to the home of British Motorsport at the weekend, isn't it? Because there's the Walter Hayes Trophy, of course, coming up in a couple of days' time. That's, of course, in real life here, focused in the sim. We're just going to keep hoping that the rain stays on the sim and not in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I ride a motorbike and coming home from work. Did get a little bit wet, but we're all good in the dry right now. And as you mentioned, Lewis, as for this qualifying session, 3 drivers with exclusion from qualifying penalties. There were in total 17 incidents as well in the previous round at Alton Park. So these guys, they do like getting their elbows out, and exclusion from qualifying is quite important because you don't have as much of an opportunity to get inside that top 10 to get yourself up into the reverse grid. So definitely a tough one, but it's been an up and down season. Likes of Jane Sherwood leading the championship after Thruxton went down, and he's back up again in P2. Woodhatch, I think he was about P6 in the championship going in towards Alton Park, and now he's leading. So it is very close, and when we get the drop rounds in, I'm sure that'll switch things up even more.
Yeah, indeed. And we'll say after practice, you know how I like to have a little cheeky look and a gander at the practice times as to how things are unfolding. 2 minute 20.122 with the top time set by Team Miller Kangas. That's less important. What is important in all of that was that the top 10 in that session were separated by under a second. Considering how long the circuit is comparatively to some of the circuits that we've been to and how tricky the conditions are, that is going to cause itself some significant interest when it comes to how this qualifying session is going to unfold. Will it remain as close as that practice session showed? Well, we can see Crofton Woodhatch here working his way around the final complex of corners, and with that, I think it's probably about time that we have a little look around this circuit, taking a look with our championship leader. So, of course, we've got this long-ish run down into the opening corner here on the Hamilton Straight. Into the opening corner as we flick it right and up the hill out of Abbey, through the farm curve, going over the left-hand side, couple of puddles pooling there on the apex, into the braking zone, going into the village loop section. Of course, you want to put it back over to the right-hand side. Probably want to keep a little bit away from the curbing in this kind of conditions. Of course, get onto that throttle as early as possible and keep it as pinned as possible, going through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. Great overtaking opportunity here. We'll see a lot of slipstream on the effect on the run down into Brooklands, where you've got the BRDC clubhouse there on the right-hand side, and the braking zone, where you kind of want to brake maybe a little bit earlier, get that weight onto the front than maybe you would expect. Let it roll around the corner before getting onto the power, pulling it back over the left-hand side, and then flicking it through the right-hander at Lovefield. You can treat this as a double apex right-hander, so going out a little bit wide through the middle before diving it back to the apex on the exit of Lovefield, then through Woodcote, and of course past the old Grand Prix, onto the old Grand Prix Straight, where you've got the pit lane on the right-hand side, which is typically the support pit lane these days when it comes to racing around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Through Cops, what was the old opening turn, and of course everyone's focus now is on the run into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Slightly goes downhill on the run into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, more so than you would expect around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. If you'd never been around here before, you might assume that this is quite flat through here, but there is a little bit of undulation. It goes up and down before going back up and then back down again. And then the run through the final part of that at Chapel onto the Hangar Straight. Now, great overtaking opportunity here into Stowe. It rises up in the braking zone, which keeps it nice and short, but also a medium speed corner here at Stowe. Pull it back over to the left-hand side before using as little of the brakes as possible, flicking it over to the right, taking it all the way around the corner. And of course, the run through Vale and then the club chicane right at the end of the circuit. The pit entrance there on the right-hand side shouldn't really be used by anyone throughout the activities today. No pit stop races required either in the UK Formula Ford 1600s or in British Formula 4. But with conditions like this, you just never really know. Out through the final corner then and back onto the Lewis Hamilton straight. Sir Lewis Hamilton, if you will. And of course, we see Crofton would actually cross the line set at 2:22.7. Can tell you they will probably be going a little bit faster than that.
Yes, I think so. Looking at the practice times, although we don't know exactly the wetness on the track, but I'm sure it will dry up just a little bit with more drivers setting the lap times. These big hoovers, even in these smaller cars, you can see the spray coming off. Interesting lines there from Woodhatch, actually, Lewis. I'm sure you were noticing as well, trying to get off the standard racing line. It looks a little bit funny, but that's what you got to do in these wet weather conditions. It's all loud in there. Big slide on the XL of Luffield. That's going to lose a lot of momentum in these cars on these big long straights.
The one thing about Crofton Woodhatch, when it comes to those lines, when it comes to his ability to drive this car, he's obviously very good in this car. That's why he's the championship leader. But the most important note that I would have with him when it comes to qualifying this season, we've had 4 qualifying sessions. 3 of them have seen Crofton Woodhatch on pole position. That's why he's effectively the favourite for the title and why he's been so strong this season, if maybe a touch inconsistent in those reverse grid races. The fact that he sees himself on pole position a couple of times. The only other driver to have got pole position is Hayden Bramley, who currently sits in 4th in this session.
And not too far behind considering those first sort of banker laps. 4 tenths for the top 6. Wan Chi Lin, that's a bit better. He has struggled a little bit in this championship, often towards the back end of the top 10, top 15 or so, but that's a little bit more like it. But of course, just the first laps being completed. As you see, already 3.5 minutes to go, and we're only halfway through the second lap. So yeah, they're definitely not getting the full lap count. There is Dylan McClements. I can tell you, gravity does not work in his household apparently, as he's racing sideways down the straight. He was, of course, our winner in the reverse grid race a couple of rounds ago as well. So that's some all-important points for his championship, but unfortunately not able to jump up too much since then.
Yeah, for a driver who has a victory to his name, again, the first 3 races of the season didn't really go his way, even though the first race was going his way until the very last lap of the race. But since then has had 5 consecutive top 10 finishes. Is still yet to record a top 5 though in qualifying. He's done 10th, 12th, 7th and 8th in the qualifying so far in 2025. Kicks it through the final corner and he will actually drop position. Didn't improve on that lap, and Sam Sanders was the one who jumped up into 3rd. Jaden Sherwood up to 7th position, and you can see the top 8 there separated by just over 1/3 of a second as Wan Chi Lin goes up into the top 5.
Yeah, Wan Chi Lin barely improved, but enough to gain a couple of positions. Look how close that group of cars is, from Sanders down to Sherwood, just over 1/10 of a second for 6 cars. That is so close, especially in these conditions. You can very easily jump up, jump down, as here's Rebecca Moran, the 58 machine, coming down in towards the final chicane. It's such an annoying corner to have this point of the track, because you've done all that work and then you have this really slightly clumsy chicane to finish the lap. Don't want to be jumping over those curbs too much, and then get the run through the as close to flat out final corner as you can. And whereas Rebecca going to put herself at this moment in time at 23.9, jumping up into 12th.
Trying to channel all of the energy from the cardboard cutout behind of Jenson Button, who obviously runs quite well in conditions like this. Sam Sanders back out onto the old Grand Prix straight. Timo Miller-Kangas has already called a session to an end, currently sits in 2nd position in this session, and he crossed the line in that 2nd spot. Wouldn't say it was a particularly amazing run there through Cops from Sam Sanders. I think he's aware of that and might be calling that lap to a close, was sliding a little bit on the apex and wasn't able to get on the power. Still obviously going to push because you never know what you're going to get through Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. I could be talking some absolute waffle.
We'll see. It's Sam is actually one of the I think the dark horses as such. Couple of wins this season, 5th place in the championship. He's more than a race wins points away from Woodhatch, but that was after a terrible round back at Alton Park. However, that round at Alton Park will be taken out when we introduce the drop points, so he will jump up a bit from that. So I do think Sanders is going to be on a bit of a flyer towards the end of the season. And it is the 26 Hayden Bramley, 3rd place in the standings. Had some kerfuffles in the previous round. Let's see how this one goes. 30 seconds remain.
Yeah, indeed. Any further improvement going to come in here for Hayden Bramley through the final corners, and some great overtakes from Bramley in this championship so far this season. Obviously, we've completed one half of it. I'm not even calculating drop scores yet, Cam, so we'll hold fire on that for the near future. Hayden Bramley improves up onto the 2nd row of the grid in the 3rd position, within a 10th.5 of the pole set by Crofton Woodhatch. Very few seconds left to go. Any final improvements coming in?
Yeah, this is an amazing qualifying session. 3:10 or just over 3:10s for the top 8 drivers in these conditions. But Woodhatch comes out on top once again. That's 4 poles from 5 races.
Indeed, brilliant qualifying session once again from Crofton Woodhatch, who pieced together that session brilliantly and has qualified in pole position for the 4th time this season. Team Millikangas then will start alongside in 2nd position with Hayden Bramley, Sam Sanders and Dylan McClements inside the top 5 for the 1st time this season in qualifying. Wan Chi-Lin inside the top 10 for the 1st time in qualifying this season, still within a 1/3 of a second to the pole sitter. Then it's Matt Kendall in 7th, Jaden Sherwood not quite able to back up the double podium in Alton Park, at least when it comes to qualifying position. We'll have to wait and see how the race unfolds. Matthew Jordan in 9th, with Jeffrey Decker in 10th. Paige Dovenbauer in 11th position alongside Rebecca Morell in 12th, with Isaac Gade starting from 13th position. Jonathan Smith, Brandon Loudon and Mark Winter then in 16th position, with those excluded from qualifying being Jamie Hopper and Charlie Summers in 17th and 18th position, and Mario Ras then in 19th. Those 3 at the rear end of the field were not able to take part in qualifying. They are perfectly capable of taking part in the race. We've got about a minute before we see them roll their way down into the 1st corner. Of course, Cam, it's not a particularly long run into turn 1, but it's about that braking zone at turn 3 going into the village loop section they'll all be worried about.
Indeed, the brakes will obviously be cold and everything as well, and it's a pretty tight corner, is Village at turn 3. I think we're going to see a few drivers going off the road, and they're not all going to be making through, even through the kink at turn 1 at Abbey as well. I just want to see Millikangas, he's an aggressive driver starting P2. I think Woodhatch is going to be looking all in his mirrors as he gets into that braking zone.
Indeed. Obviously, everyone fighting for their own thing. You've got Crofton Woodhatch battling for the title. You've got drivers like Hayden Bramley. You would have seen it there in the qualifying session. Scott Racing for Grandad written on the side of his car as well. So racing for his granddad, of course. I'm sure that's going to be an emotional moment if he's able to sneak a victory away. 15 minutes onto the clock. Crofton Woodhatch will be starting from pole position with Team Millikangas alongside in that front row. Hayden Bramley, all of them getting away pretty cleanly at the front end of the field. No major change on the run from the first few rows into that opening corner. Jonathan Smith, Rebecca Morell, Brandon Loudon, all those battling in the background. But of course, it's all single file here towards the top end of the field. Will Team Millikangas try and go for something? That's Dylan McClements trying to get to the outside of Sam Sanders in the battle for 4th position as we ride on board a little bit further down the field.
Oh, we certainly do. This is a very awkward section of the track in towards Loop. Oh, big puddle there on the inside and a huge wiggle there as we work our way onto the back straight with 3 wide in behind. But it looks like Kendall's able to hold on from Sherwood that we were on board with in that blue machine. And we're actually going 2 by 2 for the lead. I think Millikangas is going for the inside. He's trying to make it down the inside of Brooklands. A little bit Woodhatch is pushed wide.
Yeah, indeed. Little bit of awkwardness there that I'm sure we'll have a quick look back on, but no major dramas there for Crofton Woodhatch. We're still able to drop back in a 3rd position and carry on in this race. Could be so easily much, much worse, especially with the difficult conditions out there. We expect the racing line will potentially speed up throughout the session. As I said, the rain is still coming down. Team Millikangas then will lead from Bramley, from Woodhatch, from McClements and Sanders. We always, well, I say we always, I tend to bang on about it quite a bit, about the rule of 6, tend to be 6 cars in a group, and more than that tends to involve an incident. This is one of the circuits where that's not necessarily the truth. The slipstream games around here are far bigger than anywhere else we race across the season.
Indeed, it's a big slipstream track, and in these cars as well, it is going to be very, very important to keep that momentum. There is the replay down the inside. He just goes a little bit straighter, a bit more straight than Woodhatch. Woodhatch was coming in as you naturally kink in towards the apex, and he's down into third place after that little bit of contact. So this is a good opportunity for Bramley now, who's going to be going to the inside up towards Stowe.
Can confirm, by the way, the rain has stopped for now, so we do expect the circuit will get faster and faster as the session goes on as Bramley takes over the race lead. Then Team Millikangas drop down into second. The inside line open for Croft and Woodhatch as Brandon Loudon and Jonathan Smith battle in the background as we lose them, dropping down the hill into the final chicane. On board with Croft and Woodhatch, got to be careful in that braking zone with all that standing water on the right-hand side, which was catching out Hayden Bramley a touch there, who's now sliding all over the place, opening the door for the Finnish driver to come straight down the inside. It's going to get awkward here for Croft and Woodhatch, who work his way to the inside of Hayden Bramley. Will probably have to drop back into line before they get into the, I would say, braking zone, but the slight turn-in point there at Abbey, and I'm sure a lift and maybe a little bit of a dab of the brakes in these conditions.
Yeah, this is amazing fighting at the front. They're going back and forth. Really, it's a top 5 breakaway if you include McClemens and Sanders. A dive down the inside there from Woodhatch. That's going to be second place if he can get through. Can't quite squeeze to the outside, though. It's a little bit more banging as we come in towards the loop, and it should be second place for Bramley as he holds on. So Woodhatch not having it easy. McClemens having a look up the inside. He's got his nose there. Backs out that one just a little bit. The Woodhatch leaves some space. That's going to be a momentum lost as we come down, and it's a 4-car train up behind Millikangas.
Sam Sanders, who's a 2-time winner in 2025, is now looking to try and make some progress. Dropped down the order a little bit with no top 10 finishes, including a retirement as well back in Alton Park. Sits in 5th position in this, staring at the group ahead and trying to piece his way through bit by bit. Leaves it down the inside of Dylan McClements, who's going to get the drive off of Luffield here and will hang on to 4th position. So it's Millikangas, Woodhatch, Bramley, McClements, and then Sam Sanders. Bit of a gap back, a second in arrears back to Wan Chi Lin and Jaden Sherwood. Would suspect if this battling keeps up the way it is, that maybe that group can bridge the gap.
Yeah, I think if there's a bit of batting heads, you definitely can do so, but if the group remains clean, it's very, very difficult. Once you've lost that slipstream, just depends how racy they want to be up towards the front, which, to be honest, it looks like it. We're getting side by side with Kendall and Jordan in towards Magus. Around the outside, it's going to have to be for Kendall. He holds onto it just about, keeps it inside the track limits as well, and that is going to be P8 held on, but that batting, of course, just loses a little bit up towards Loudon, who's having a decent race so far. He's made up a few places up into P8.
Yeah, Sam Sanders now going for the move. He's carried a lot more speed through Chapel and onto the hanger straight. Picks up the slipstream of Hayden Bramley, who's right onto the rear end of Croft and Woodhatch, trying to take over the race lead as they get onto the brakes and flick it into Stowe. Around the outside goes Croft and Woodhatch. Can he keep it in track limits? I think just about, as he goes side by side with Team Millikangas. Onto the brakes into the final chicane. Once again, Millikangas is having a look. Dylan McClements in the background is trying to find his way through and up maybe into 3rd position. Can't quite do it just about now. So it's McClements then in 4th position. You've got Hayden Bramley here, who was watching that all unfold, was picking up the slipstream of Croft and Woodhatch, but couldn't pick up the pieces of it. And so remains in 3rd position.
Yeah, this is awesome. Every single sort of sector of the track, we're having a different leader, and at the moment it is Woodhatch who went, first to third, third to first. Let's see if there's any big dives this time around. A little bit of a look inside for Millikangas, half thinking about it, trying to force Woodhatch wide, but I think Woodhatch is also using the slightly alternate racing lines as well due to these wet conditions, so that does open up the doors. Here's a bit of a dive, bit of a send down the inside. This is Jordan, and it's actually Decker trying to get past Jordan. Here's a big slide, 3 wide we go. Jonathan Smith tries to go up the inside, backs out of that one. 3 wide though on the exit as we come down the Wellington straight, and it looks like Kendall just about held on, but Decker's going for it.
Yeah, indeed. Look at this. It's getting a little bit chaotic back here. Matthew Jordan involved with Jonathan Smith backing out of what we're seeing. Jamie Hopper as well. Jonathan Smith, who are riding on board with, leads it down the inside of Jordan. And then you've got Jamie Hopper ahead of all of that, battling in the top 5 also as they navigate their way around Luffield. Here we go. Dylan McClements and Sam Sanders once again going side by side for 4th. As much as this is maybe there's a couple of switches for position here. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is massively chaotic at the top 5. What are we expecting in those final few laps, especially when Wan Chi Lin and Jaden Sherwood start knocking at the door?
Yeah, this is not a 5-car breakaway anymore. That is for sure, as it's going to be, countless cars actually, because look at the train of cars behind. They haven't really spread out at all, such as the nature of this track and the slipstream that we get, especially Wan Qilin. He is there for P6. Sherwood, who's second in the championship, remember, as well. He is there trying to chase them down. The lead, is it going to change once more? We've got Woodhatch leading, Milikangas in that second place. Getting the slipstream, he does look to the inside. He wants to take the race lead back, and he's going to brake late, although Woodhatch round the outside. He goes way too deep. That's going to open up the opportunity for Bramley to come through, but I don't think he's got quite enough momentum as Woodhatch holds on to second.
But this side-by-side, like I say, could open up the opportunity for Hayden Bramley, for Sanders as well. If they're all caught out, deep goes the likes of Woodhatch and Teemu Milikangas. Woodhatch going around the outside here to hang on to the race lead just a touch. They go back out onto the Hamilton straight. It's Teemu Milikangas is second, and now they all fan out across the circuit. The green and orange car there on the inside, that is Dylan McClements trying to find his way through. The black and gold of Sam Sanders hangs on to third position, and it's Hayden Bramley who drops down into fifth, into the clutches potentially of the Chinese driver of Wan Qilin.
That was a good save by Bramley, I have to say. Out on the west stuff, no one's been there all day, but it's been a big puddle on the outside of the final corner, but was able to gather it up. And let's see what it's going to be, because down the inside now it's Sherwood. Big send. Lynn was looking good through the first couple of corners, but Sherwood has the track position as we work away for entry as well. He's going to have the lead of this battle, but unfortunately a little bit of a wiggle there. That is going to put the momentum back in towards Lynn's favour. As we come down this back straight, it is side by side for the lead once more. They can't stop battling around this circuit. Too many opportunities, as it looks like Lynn is just going to hold on the outside. Although having said that, he's run wide. I think Sherwood's got a chance.
Oh, he's going to be Lynn, I think, here. He might pick up the slipstream once again of Hayden Bramley, and that top five begin to gap out once again. Matt Kendall as well. That's Brandon Loudon rather, knocking at the door as well. 6th, 7th and 8th being Lynn, Sherwood and Loudon. Kendall about 1.4 seconds arrears of that group. The top five now a second clear of this battling that sees Jaden Sherwood down the inside of Wan Qilin as they go through the old opening corner. This side by side, I'm not going to lie, Cam, not the smartest.
Yeah, close your eyes and hope as they just give each other room. Lynn's got the lead, though, as we work our way through. Actually, I say that. Sherwood is coming back as on the exit of Maggots in towards Beckett's, and it looks like Lynn has held on. What a brave move there by the number 30. This is losing them so much time, though. Unfortunately, they lost over a second to the cars ahead. Just a little bit out of the proper slipstream. They've got to be careful not to do that. Sherwood is going to come back, but for the lead. Milikangas to the outside, also to the inside. Hayden Brownlee trying to get up into third place on the inside of McClements.
Yeah, trying to pick these two apart in the dull grey conditions that we have here at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit can be a touch difficult, but I can confirm it is the white, black and red car that is leading of Croft and Woodhatch, battling with the white, black and red car of Teemu Milikangas. Thankfully, those behind are a bit easier to pick apart. It's the white and blue of Hayden Bramley, who's been spun around, I think he's spun around on himself on the sausage curb there on the exit of the penultimate corner.
And Sanders has lost so much momentum. Sherwood and Lynn are going to go through up the inside of the first corner. They'll say that Sanders, big pace on the outside line, but not enough. He's going to have to back out of that one. So it is now 3 cars up towards the front. McClements is being gifted a podium position, but it's all to fight for in behind. So many drivers, Loudon, Kendall, Hopper, all involved at this moment in time with less than 5 minutes remaining in this race now. Just a couple of laps, maybe 3 laps in total. They'll just sneak an extra one. But that is a big, big moment for the championship as well, as let's see a replay of this. Yeah, touches the curb on the outside, and he's stuck in a precarious position. Does he get going? Well, he does, so good recovery.
That is proving how difficult these conditions are. He barely touched the curb. I thought he might have. Oh, there was a crash afterwards. Who was that with?
Jonathan Smith, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Oh my goodness, we'll need to see that one again. That's a bit of drama, and some more added to Hayden Bramley, unfortunately, dropped down to 17th position. So yes, drama indeed, but like I said, that was showing how difficult it is. I thought he touched the sausage curb, because that's normally where you see them spin around. There's a sausage curb on the exit of the penultimate corner. Wasn't that, it was just basically a big puddle there, and was spun around. Quite a lot of the puddles have been cleaned up over the running of this race thus far. Certainly not that one, though, as we continue to watch this fight for 4th position. We've got Sanders, Sherwood, Sherwood, Loudon, Lynn, Kendall, Hopper, and a bit of a gap back to Matthew Jordan are going side by side here with Brandon Loudon using his VR to try and find a way past Jaden Sherwood. It's Sam Sanders though at the head of the group.
This race is absolutely bonkers, and to be fair, wouldn't be surprised if any of these drivers end up on the podium a bit later, because Milikangas and Woodhatch still batting up towards the front as well, and McClement's chasing them down. This is going to be a big final couple of laps of this race. Side by side we go, as this is Loudon. He starts about P11 on the grid. He's up into P5. It's 3 wide. Lynn sends it down the inside of the pair of them. We've got Sherwood on the outside. 3 wide we go through the middle of the corner. Sanders goes through, and it is Lynn completing that double move as Loudon drops to 6th.
Wow, bit of a 3 wide send there into the into Stone. Doesn't normally happen, and normally if it does, it ends in tears. But this time, clearly absolutely fine. There goes for a spin though, and it's Brandon Loudon who's dropping down through the field, spinning around there. I think on changing of gear there potentially. As we head back up to our race leaders, penultimate lap of the race. The battle between Woodhatch and Timi Milikangas sees them 1.9 seconds clear of Dylan McClements, who I think has a pretty calm and casual run to the checkered flag here in 2 minutes and 30 seconds time.
Oh, you never know what's going to happen ahead. We've seen Milikangas have some sends on the final lap back at Donington, causing some problems. So the green machine is definitely not out of the running for this if something is going to happen. Not on raw pace, though, but if something is going to happen. Let's see a replay of this.
Oh, no,
the contact in behind. And for Loudon, that's the 96A. He actually started about P15, so he was up 10 places at this point. There's Sherwood on the inside, and Sherwood doesn't use the full inside of the track, but either way, a bit unlucky there for Loudon. I don't think there's necessarily anything too bad from Sherwood's side.
No, there was definitely space between them. It's just one of those situations that happens, and the air between forcing the contact. But Jaden Sherwood, I don't think he was particularly to blame there. His car was there, and he gave space, and they gave space. It's just how it went. Jaden Sherwood, who we're looking at with Matt Kendall and Wan Shi Lin up ahead. Sam Sanders has been able to get away from this group. Jaden Sherwood trying to work his way through down the inside of Wan Shi Lin there, going into Cop's corner. I think has ticked that one off. Meanwhile, Timi Milikangas has found his way back to the front of the field.
Oh my word. 1.5 minutes remain with 2-3 wide coming in towards Magnus and Beckett. Side by side we go as we're trying to see this massive battle there with Sanders, Kendall I should say, just getting ahead of Sherwood, and he's able to do so. This is intense for these drivers as we're going to see replay. Oh, huge slide there. Almost a 4-wheel slide for Woodhatch. Kept it going, but that was the momentum lost, and that was how Milikangas got through. But live pictures now, and it's going to be Woodhatch sending it back up the inside in towards Stowe.
Yeah, of course, we do see a little bit of damage on the nose cone there of Timi Milikangas. Wonder if that's maybe causing a slight slower run there out onto the hanger straight, potentially even just using the slipstream. And again, a brilliant drive from Crofton Woodhatch back up. This is with Jaden Sherwood, Matt Kendall and Jamie Hopper in the 33. He's had a brilliant drive in this race back into the mix as well. He looks to the outside of Jaden Sherwood. You've got that battle happening up ahead between Sherwood and Kendall. They head out on to start the final lap of this race. The side-by-sides continue.
This is absolutely incredible. We've got Charlie Summers, Jamie Hopper. Both of them are up 10 places into P7 and 8 after starting from the back of the grid. This is incredible racing here. Final lap time, final opportunity to try and make some positions. And it looks like we're going to have some great racing here today. Still 3 races to go across the broadcast. And let's see who's going to come out on top. At the moment, Woodhatch, he's got 3/10 lead. Milikangas will get a lot back in the slipstream, but that is a decent amount as we come on to this final lap.
Of course, Timi Milikangas looking for his first victory of 2025. Crofton Woodhatch looking for his 4th. The dominant championship leader at the moment sits atop the field by 24 points. That gap will grow with Jaden Sherwood, who sits 2nd in the title race, currently in 6th in this one, and Hayden Brownlee, who sits 3rd in the title race, not even or down in 15th position, not even in the top 10. So a lot of big gains potentially happening here for Crofton Woodhatch as alternate and interpretive lines being taken from Timi Milikangas.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Trying to make it work. Every 1,000th counts. He's 4/10 off as we come halfway through the lap. And just one proper opportunity up in towards Stowe, and then a big final send opportunity. We're going side by side. Sherwood's gone down the inside in towards Cops, trying to get P5. Kendall out wide. We're also getting Jamie Hopper trying to get involved down in towards Maggots, and it looks like Kendall actually has just got his nose ahead once again. Side by side around the outside is going to be for Kendall. He did this once before, but he can't do it this time. Sherwood holds on.
Sherwood then 5th position, but the big slipstream race takes us out onto the hangar straight, not only for the group on the bottom of your screen between the likes of Sherwood, Kendall, Hopper and Summers, but also the group at the top, the battle for the race lead. Crofton Woodhatch, Team Millikangis, they go side by side as they get onto the brakes and flick it through the right-hander at Stowe. Is Crofton Woodhatch going to run out wide? Will Team Millikangis be able to find his way through here in the opening race of the UK Formula Ford 1600s here at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, the home of British Motorsport? Millikangis sending it around the outside. He's going to clear Crofton Woodhatch. Not quite though, as returning to the front of the field for the 4th time this season, Crofton Woodhatch is going to win, and it's going to be 3 in a row. Woodhatch across the line to win once again, and the championship leader extends the lead.
That was an amazing race, an amazing final lap as well. What an opportunity there for Millikangis to go round the outside. He almost made it work, but Woodhatch was having none of it. Chopped him off perfectly through that second part of the chicane, and to take another race victory. A lot stronger race for Millikangis as well. Also McClements, who was almost chased down by Sanders. Sanders has got good pace today, up there in P4, and then Kendall holding on in P5. That is important for his championship, with Bramley having a bad race down in P15.
Yeah, indeed. Again, brilliant racing once again here in the UK Formula Ford 1600s. Of course, we do have another race to deal with. And of course, in all of that, Cameron Roger, we have to deal with the reverse grid. Always spectacular, always interesting to see where the reverse grid number falls. Of course, it's those numbers between 5 and 10. I'm not going to lie, Cam, I'd take a full house here. I'd take the whole number 10. And do you know what? I think quite a few of the grid would as well. Let's see what it is going to be. It's not going to be the full 10. I think it's going to be one short of it. 9 will be the reverse grid then, unless it ticks over into 6. I think it's going to stop in time. And we are going to get 9 cars then reversed on this grid, meaning that it will, of course, be the likes of Rebecca Morrell starting from the reverse grid pole. Sam Sanders was able to take the fast lap of the race, gets the bonus point for that one as well. But of course, the big spoils going the way of Crofton Woodhatch. Team Millikangis and Dylan McClements will be the 3 drivers that we catch up with after this. Sam Sanders, though, you quite rightly pointed out, had great pace, set the fast lap of the race, but just generally had that confidence, almost able to close in to Dylan McClements there late on in the race. Matt Kendall in 5th position with Jaden Sherwood in 6th. Charlie Summers and Jamie Hopper, all of those separated by 0.6 of a second. Summers and Hopper as well, coming up from basically the rear of the field, was very impressive indeed. Rebecca Morrell in 9th, and Wan Chi Lin inside the top 10. Maybe feeling there was a little bit more to have gained from that one. Matthew Jordan will finish in 11th position with Mark Winter, then Jeffrey Decker and Brandon Loudon in 14th position. Hayden Bramley is able to secure himself 15th position, and the few points, the 6 points that goes with. And of course, behind that, it's Isaac Gabe, then Jonathan Smith, Paige Dovenbaum and Mario Ras, the 19 cars on this field. Well, you can see some of the 6 super slow-mos around this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, and whilst that's happening, let's have a little bit of a chat with our podium. Starting, of course, with Crofton Woodhatch, 3 victories in a row. What a superb performance. You had that excellent double back in Alton Park, and you're seeming to continue on where you left off. What's that like?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it was a good race, hard race. Teamy was behind me the whole time, like really close. Any mistake and he was through pretty much. But no, happy to get 3 in a row. It's looking good.
What are the chances? What are the thoughts on feelings of 4 in a row? If you were to take it, that means you have 5 victories, which would give you 50% of the wins this season. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's definitely doable around here because it's so wide and you can make the overtakes. It's definitely doable. I think I can, but I'm just looking to get consistent points now. Yeah.
I was going to say, this is one of the circuits where if you were going to pull a big reverse grid number, you'd want it here and not either side of it at either Alton Park or, of course, Knock Hill. So when I tell you the number's 9 and it's the second largest number that we can get, like I say, it's fine. We take that, right?
Yeah, it's all right. They've all been pretty big this season so far. I think it's been 8 or 10 every time. So I've been used to it so far. But no, I'm not. this track's good enough to wide enough to make the overtakes on, so I'm not too upset about that.
Well, best of luck in the second race in what I'm sure might be as well tricky conditions as well. We'll have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Crofton Woodhatch on to the top step of the podium for the 4th time this season. Of course, the 3rd in a row. Let's drag in Timo Milikangas, who was keeping him company late on there, of course, trying to battle for the race lead, trying to find your first victory of the season there, Timo. A great drive, but couldn't quite find a way through on our Champions League. Did notice a bit of damage to the front of your car. Did you notice that whilst you were driving around, and would that maybe have held you back a touch?
Okay, I had no idea I had damage, so I guess didn't matter so much. But yeah, I tried to. I didn't fight for the few laps there to not let the others get to our group. But yeah, it's hard to overtake when there is puddles everywhere. So congrats to Crofton, he drove well.
Obviously, what was one of the main talking points through that race was how difficult the conditions were out there. Like you said, puddles all over the place, inside, outside the corners. We saw Crofton have a moment on the exit of Cops running onto those puddles, and you were able to find your way back through before you were able to find your way past. How difficult is that to navigate in a car like this, which kind of slips and slides all the way around anyway?
Well, I mean, the weather wasn't that bad now, so I practiced a bit in more rainy sessions as well, and it was much more worse, but it was fun actually to drive in the rain. I enjoyed it a lot, but shame that I couldn't get the victory there. But let's see how the race 2 goes then.
I was going to say, victory's surely on its way soon. You're showing that pace pretty consistently, starting the next race from 8th position in what I believe might be also some pretty difficult conditions. Surely a win's possible?
Yeah, I mean, worst it's possible. I don't know. Need to stay out of trouble and find my way through the top. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Well, best of luck, and maybe we're chatting to you on the podium in the near future.
We hope so. Thank you.
There we go. Timo Milikangas, 2nd position. Great battle with Crofton Woodhatch. Throughout the 3rd and final to talk to is, of course, Dylan McClements, who joins us again here in the interview booth. Of course, was it a 6th consecutive top 10 finish? Another podium to add to the list as well. And again, looked like it was, for a little bit of that race, maybe a bit of a calmer drive than what others were dealing with. You had a bit of space ahead and behind. What was that like, navigating this circuit?
Yeah, I mean, it was good the first couple of stations around and then that spin. But, I mean, it built me a comfortable gap in front and back. But I got damage from my check-ups. I think Sam has clawed me in a good bit, and I just about held on in the last lap. So it's good to get the points racked up now.
There was one thing that both myself and Cam pointed out during that race, like you said. You had a couple of seconds back to Sam, and that closed to only a few tenths of a second by the end of the race. What was that like, seeing that gap closing and closing and closing, and what was your mentality in that scenario?
Well, I mean, I was pushing the car to its limits, and I think I was coming around the last lap. He was in within a second, and I was just trying to see where, like, trying to really visualize where he'd get close to me, and he just about was a couple of things back on the straight to not get up alongside me. So I was a bit scared, but thankfully he came out in the P3.
You say obviously you had a little bit of damage on the car. We saw a few cars out there have a little bit of damage. How susceptible is the car to damage around the Silverstone circuit? With it being so open and basically being a pack race, kind of wheels do get banged a fair amount around here, maybe even more so than some of the other circuits that we race at.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't think my damage is really bad. I think it was just the straight line speed, really, because whenever I was in the 2, I wasn't gaining, I was actually losing. But I mean, through the corner it was all fine, but hopefully I can stay out of that contact and get a good race 2 result.
Well, Dylan, best of luck. Obviously, you'll be starting from 7th position in the second race this evening, and again, maybe we're talking to you quite soon.
Yeah, cheers. See you.
And there we go, Cam. podium spoken to. That's that one ticked off. Brilliant to hear. Another victory, though, for Croft and Woodhatch. 3 in a row. Starting to look like the champions of before, of course, the likes of Henry Moore and Mark Fletcher, who have had their fair shares of domination towards the top end of this field. And it does look as though he's starting to take control.
Yeah, this is pretty remarkable. I mean, he won the first race of the season, then he went 5 rounds with no victory, only 2 podiums in those 5 as well, and then he's gone 3 in a row. A big turn of performance. I mean, you know, Bramley and Kendall, who were sort of leading this championship a couple of rounds ago, in the last 3 races, you know, they've had 7th, retired 15th, retired 9th, 5th. You know, he's gone 3 in a row. He's gained so many points, and he's now leading by a whole win to Sherwood as well, a win and a half to Bramley. He's really taken lead in this championship, and to be honest, if no one can stop him by the time we get to the end of you know, Knockhill, this is going to be a bit of a riot.
Indeed. I think here's one problem, though, that he has versus some of the others when it comes to the usage of drop scores. Now, this is a really complicated topic, and I'm not even going to properly dive into it until I might start looking at it next round, but I've got to redo the spreadsheet and figure out all the numbers and stuff, and I'm not that smart, I'm afraid. AI can sit down and help me with that one. The fact that a few other drivers have had, say, for example, Jaden Sherwood. Snetterton finished 14th and 9th. That's a bad round. That's being scrapped. That's being removed. The problem that Croft and Woodhatch has is that he has a great first race and a bad second race. And the way the drop scores work is it's 2 entire rounds. It's not 2 individual races. It's not, you know, 4 individual races from across the season, or you know, 2 rounds worth of it. It is 2 whole rounds. And the fact that he's finished 3rd and 12th and then 3rd and 15th, the 3rd, good points haul, and then the 12th and the 15th, obviously not. But the thing is, he's gonna, when the drop scores take effect, he's actually going to lose more points courtesy of those kind of poor results being in a round with a good result.
Yeah, I'm trying to look exactly. I mean, yeah, that's a good thing, good point to make. He's going to lose a lot of points with that. So that gap of the 45 odd points he's got at the moment, 2nd place, that is going to shrink down. But that's, to be honest, kind of a good way of the drop scores in some ways. Going to keep it really tight coming up towards the final round of Brands Hatch. So don't think that he's going to run away with it. But that is very true. Those who have a couple of bad rounds, although to be honest, you can only get a couple of bad rounds, but you know, it doesn't matter so much for them. The issue is for Bramley and Kendall is that it's looking like it might be 2 bad rounds in a row, which is not good for them because that's going to be, you know, no more mistakes basically from now to the end of the season.
My brain is overheating with how to figure out how to do the drop scores on this poor spreadsheet, by the way. I fully understand drop scores. Of course, we have them here in the UK Formula Ford 1600s because of the type of championship. We don't have them in British Formula 4. I understand why they exist, but boy, they are not good for my brain. As you can see around here, it is currently raining. However, the circuit is less wet than it was in the previous race. There aren't as many puddles around, but it will obviously get wetter as this progresses. So I say drivers will probably be out there straight away trying to keep the track nice and as dry as possible before we jump into the 2nd race of the evening. And I don't know how it's going to look. If it stays like this, it's going to be very different in terms of how this race is going to unfold by the fact that you can actually use the curves.
Indeed, and the racing line will be back to normal as well, so that changes how they battle a little bit. We did see a couple of awkward situations because drivers were coming off the normal racing line to try and get away from the puddles, get away from the rubber line, etc. But this is definitely way less. I mean, this is almost dry weather on the track at this moment in time. Not a single bit of spray, and as mentioned earlier, they have the one sort of grooved tyre as such. So it's not a wet tyre, it's not a dry tyre, somewhere in the middle that can do everything. So they do stay out there, and they just got to get going with it and get used to the conditions that they have out there on the track. And one thing I've just noticed in the championship as well, is Sam Sanders. He's down into 6th place with 2 wins to his name. I mean, that is, I mean, it's so tight out there. We've seen how crazy it gets in the race. It's definitely a tough championship out there. If you win a couple of races, you're still down in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen it a little bit before with some other drivers where, like I said, they might be able to contend toward the front every now and then, but then contending for the championship, they don't quite have you know, what the likes of Henry Moore and Danamore when they were fighting in that first season, Shomi Chitani and Mark Fletcher were battling out this season. Yes, others can win, but they maybe don't have the longevity to battle towards the front. By the way, speaking of that, a bit of a shout out to Danamore and to Henry Moore, of course, who put on such a fantastic effort in the FIA Formula 4 Esports Global Championship. The first and third in that championship, along with Luke McEwen's up there, of course, who was a two-time British Formula 4 Esports champion. A lot of names from this neck of the woods doing well over there. That's what I want to just point out and give a shout out to. Right, deep breath, here we go, through the grid. Rebecca Morrell will start from reverse grid pole with Jamie Hopper alongside, then Charlie Summers and Jaden Sherwood needing a good result here with Matt Kendall and Sam Sanders then inside the top 6. McClements, Millikangas and Woodhatch, the 3 that we just spoke to, are finishing on the podium with Wan Chi Lin in 10th, Matty Jordan and Mark Winter then in 11th and 12th position. Decker, Loudon, Bramley needing to rise his way through the field. Isaac Gade in 16th position with Smith, Dopenbaugh, and the single final position of Mario Ras. Very quickly, Cameron Roger, who's winning. Woodhatch straight away with the Crofton Woodhatch from a 9th position. Well, we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. No rain about here at the home of British Motorsport. Very uncommon around these parts. It'll be Rebecca Morrell leading from pole position. The rain is coming down, but the circuit is dry. It's Rebecca Morrell, Hopper, Summers, Sherwood, Kendall, Sanders, and McClements, that top group. Millikangas is able to work his way through. Rebecca Morrell trying to keep Jamie Hopper at bay as they slide their way through the opening section. Charlie Summers instantly able to pounce it up into 2nd spot. Now into the opening, real braking zone of the circuit as they go through Village and Loop. It is Summers down on the inside of Hopper. It's Jaden Sherwood who we're trying to keep an eye on here, trying to get around the outside and round up Matt Kendall.
Everyone looks to be taking it fairly nicely, which is good to see. No crazy sends down in towards Village or Loop, and everyone has got through nicely in the at least in the top 15 or so as you work away down up towards Brooklands, and it's 3 wides. Sam Sanders on the inside of a 3 wide situation. Kendall as well. That's a very difficult situation for those guys. Going to try to push his way through, get ahead of Sherwood. He's going to the outside line as well, so Sherwood might be losing this place. Kendall can hold it all the way around the outside. There's Sanders on the inside now as he's got Millikangas. He's got all the drivers. McClemens even up behind him as they go 2 by 2 on the exit.
Millikangas was nearly able to check through quite a few of them. Look at those compared to their race starting positions. We're right on board with Crofton Woodhatch. Team Millikangas up a couple up in the 6th position. Crofton Woodhatch remains in 9th where he started. Looks to the outside of Dylan McClements. But again, it's one of those really important notes of these reverse grid races. The way that you nail them, the way that you get those good results is not by rushing through the field, especially not around here. We've got 9 cars separated by a single second as we work our way into Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. Rushing your way through the field will only instigate a crash. Being patient and picking your way through bit by bit, that's where the good result is.
Absolutely, and he doesn't necessarily need a good result either. Actually, as you say there, Millikangas dropping down, and this is a little bit awkward. Hopper goes for the lead though. Rebecca Morrell has led from the start of this race, but now side by side they go. There's going to be the inside line for the 33 of Hopper. Charlie Summers trying to send up the inside as well. Might be 2 places lost for your pole lead. Oh, she slid out wide. So is Sanders. This is a very awkward situation as the track is getting more and more wet.
Yeah, very difficult indeed. Did see a connection problem there for Millikangas, but coming through all that, look who's up in the 5th position. There we go. You see all the drama unfold. Crofton Woodhatch has pieced his way through up into the top 5 now. Side by side, directly ahead of him between Kendall and Hopper. Got to be careful. Got to back out ever so slightly and maybe go for the up and under. Battle then in for the race lead as Jaden Sherwood is trying to look for a 2nd victory of 2025 and back up yet another podium. Looks to the inside of Charlie Summers as we flick our way through the opening corner on the track.
And look at Hopper. He thought he had the lead. Now he's down in towards 3rd as we work our way up towards the 3rd corner of the track. He goes to the outside line, tries to pinch Sherwood on the inside there, but Sherwood cuts him off nicely. That's a good defensive line. Opens up to an attack up the inside of the loop. Not quite enough to get Summers, who holds on to that one. The 35 takes the lead.
Aggressive there from Jaden Sherwood, trying to go for the full send then on Summers. Jamie Hopper, who we're on board with, then picks up the slipstream of the number 2 car. Looks to the inside going into Brooklands. You can hold this around the outside, but if you send it down the inside, you have the outside going into Luffield. And if you get all the way around the outside there, you get a great drive and great purchase off of that corner, which will help you hold the position. Matt Kendall is choosing to follow Jamie Hopper here, who has Jaden Sherwood straight down the inside. Dylan McClements has been able to get past Crofton Woodhatch and all of that as well, and that is that purchase coming in then from Jamie Hopper. Can he clear Jaden Sherwood before they flick their way through the right-hander at Cox?
Yeah, this is intense racing, 2 by 2. Up towards Cops is going to be Summers leading Sherwood just about in second place. McClemens trying to come through there for fourth place up the inside of Kendall as well. That is going to be a solid move. We've got drivers going off in the background as well. I think that's Matthew Jordan having some problems. And it looks like Sherwood's going to take the lead. And McClemens slides through on Kendall as well. These guys go for absolutely everything. Almost some contact, major contact there, but they managed to avoid it. And up the inside, this is going to be a nice move from Kendall. Slides his way through Summers, who loses 2 places.
Yeah, that was a tiny margin for Dylan McClements to slide his way through there. Gets past on Summers and on Kendall, looking for back-to-back podiums, using the slipstream. Charlie Summers trying to find something, but he's got no assistance to the slipstream. Picks up a little bit from Jamie Hopper, who tries to look to the outside for the race leader. Has Jaden Sherwood holding on in that blue car. The black, white and red of Jamie Hopper. The bright green and orange of Dylan McClements. Then Matt Kendall behind the black car with the yellow and orange highlights. Then it's Charlie Summers in the red and white. Crofton Woodhatch in the white, black and red. They all fight then for the race lead. We currently have 9-10 cars involved in this fight. We ride on board with Matt Kendall, once again to the outside of Dylan McClements.
There's no way they can do the whole race this close. Summers goes off in the background, and he's going to drop way off the top 10. And there's another driver involved there as well, who's gone all the way down the field. That is not ideal, but we'll try and work that out in a moment's time, as we've seen. This is Kendall now up in towards third place, as he's trying to work his way forward slowly but surely. Woodhatch is following him through, just a little bit behind here. Let's see how this happens.
I think it might have been Jordan who was the one who also was off. So just goes for an awkward spin there, and that was the moment that I think saw Jordan go off the road as well. Let's see from up above. Was there any contact? Was he just getting stuck on the curb?
Yeah, Jordan just got a little bit of a glance as he worked his way through. Not ideal, but he is still going in this race. This is absolutely bonkers. Up the inside, Kendall tries to go over 3-hour situation.
Whoa.
McClements goes off. He was fighting for a podium. Now he's going to be fighting for nothing. Big send up the inside from Woodhatch as well. 3 wide up the inside Luffield. This could be second place on the exit, but you know it's not going to with the slipstreamer around here.
But for the likes of McClements, for the likes of Loudon, who sit off the rear end of this group, keep your nose clean in this part of the race, and you'll be able to find your way back into it if they're going to keep fighting like this. Sherwood leads from Woodhatch, who's trying to knock at the door once again. He'll look to the outside going into Cox, but it's Matt Kendall with the big send straight around the outside. Not of one, but potentially of 2. Can he complete both the moves as we ride on board with Jamie Hopper? Crofton Woodhatch trying to make it 3 wide. The run down into Magus Beckers and Chapel, nearly 4 wide with Jamie Hopper knocking at the door. It's Matt Kendall furthest left. It's Jaden Sherwood down the inside. They go through the left, then into the right, then into the left again, then back through the right, back through the left, and out onto the hangar straight with Jaden Sherwood, the one who will be leading the group on the way out of it. Matt Kendall trying to go full send, just about has an overlap.
Did you see Woodhatch just back out of that one completely? He was like, look, I'm fighting for the championship. You guys can go 4 wide. I'm not going to be involved in that one. We've got Sherwood on the inside trying to go for the race lead. He might have this, you know. Miller Kangas is coming through 5 wide. We go up towards Stowe Corner. Hopper somehow came out on top. And Kendall around the outside trying to make it stick. These guys are going for absolutely everything here. 8 minutes to go.
Riding on board with your championship leader, it seems like always moments away from disaster. We are less than 8 minutes left to go in the race, just about halfway through this second race of the UK Formula Ford 1600, which has been absolutely fantastic thus far in this second race of the evening, with Hopper leading from Sherwood, Kendall, Milikangas, Woodhatch, Loudon. Oh, Loudon's gone for a spin and he's clobbered the wall there on the start finish straight. Sunny Hayes, eat your heart out.
As we're seeing Sam Sanders, McClements, they've all caught back up after previous issues. Matthew Jordan, they're just 1.5 seconds off. They were spun around. They were off the track a couple of laps ago, but they're in with a shout of a podium place. That is just what this battling is doing, is slowing everyone down, is bunching everyone up towards the front. And this is going to be a crazy final few laps of the race here at Silverstone. Side by side we go. Milikangas and Woodhatch. They're not battling for the lead this time, but they're battling for 4th, 5th place. And it looks like, oh my word, what a save in the background as well from Jordan.
Yeah, there was a big slide coming in from McClements. Then Jordan also did it. Here comes a look to the inside from Jaden Sherwood. Is this going to be too much going into Brooklands? Jamie Hopper just about gives enough room, finds his way around the outside, and Hopper will continue to lead. Crofton Woodhatch and Team Milikangas continue their fight of a few minutes ago when they were battling for the race lead in race number 1 this evening. They fight, though, over 5th position, 4th and 5th position at present, with Crofton Woodhatch now being under attack from Hayden Bramley, who's knocking at the door.
I don't even know who to guess is going to win this race. It's all over the place. Sherwood to the inside of Cops now. And oh, look at that send from Woodhatch up the inside of Milikangas. What a move. I thought he was being a bit, a bit conservative a couple of laps ago, but no, he is going for this up into 4th place as Sherwood holds on. We work our way down in towards Maggis, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to go side by side. Hopper really wants this lead as we work our way through. Sherwood holds on though, and now we're seeing Kendall trying to get involved for 3rd place. That's going to be the outside line of your championship leader, but not quite enough as Woodhatch is up to 3rd, but there's still a nose in there for Kendall.
But this is going to chop and change constantly over the next 6 minutes, and I promise you that every single one of these 9 drivers has the chance of victory. There was a big moment coming in there from, I think it might have been Woodhatch who was slowing down. He clipped a little bit of the grass there on the run onto the hanger straight. It might have been Timo Milikangas, could also have been Hayden Bramley. Look at this side by side between the top 2 and between 4th and 5th as well. Jaden Sherwood and Jamie Hopper once again. It is Croft and Woodhatch in the middle of all of that, thinking about where he can go in all this. Matt Kendall with a look to the inside as he tries to find his way through, going through the club chicane and then out through the final corner. It's Jaden Sherwood from Hopper, then from Kendall, Croft and Woodhatch. It's Hopper off the road though, got to be careful before rejoining. Very slippery out there. Brandon Loudon in the pit lane as well.
That drone shot was a crazy. It looked like a swarm of bees coming through the final few corners. Oh, a big slide there from Sherwood, your race leader, as they work away through the first corner. It's so impossible to work out how this one is going to end. A little bit of a send down the inside there for Milikangas at one point, but not quite enough. Backs out of that one. Almost contact as we work away in towards the loop section. Is now going to be Hopper up the inside of Kendall for 2nd place. He might have this one stuck on the exit as well, up the inside line, but Kendall aggressively comes to the left-hand side. Now Woodhatch, who thought he was fighting for a podium, now down into 5th place. Out onto the back straight. Oh, huge defence to the inside there from Hopper as he tries to cover off Bramley.
Last time I saw this much side by side, I was watching the Daytona 500. My goodness, they're always side by side around here, it seems. With Croft and Woodhatch trying to get to the outside of Jamie Hopper. There was also Matt Kendall sliding off the road at Brooklands. Is he able to rejoin without losing too much time? I don't think so. He's just about joined back in behind Matthew Jordan, so he'll still be getting the slipstream there. Hayden Bramley drops back into 4th position. The top group at the moment sees 9 cars by 1.5 seconds. It's Sherwood, Hopper, Woodhatch, Bramley, McClement, Sanders, Milikangas, Jordan and Kendall all vying for their chance at victory. Of course, of those drivers, a fair few of them have victories already to their name this season, including 4 to the way of Croft and Woodhatch, who now takes over 2nd.
These guys are crazy. Bramley up the inside of Woodhatch in towards Cops. That was almost a cartwheel spin, but they managed to avoid locking wheels as Hopper has a little bit of a wiggle there. That slows down he and Bramley, who's just in behind with the blue nose as we work away onto the back straight once more, onto the hanger straight. And there's a little bit of a breakaway for the top 2 after that moment. And it is going to be Woodhatch who's going for this lead, who's 5th place at the start of this lap. He's now trying to go for the lead. He's round the outside of Sherwood. It's the 2 and the 22 up towards the next braking zone with 3 wide in behind. Milikangas on the outside with Bramley. Contact is made with Bramley. He saves it, he gathers it up, but he's going to slide wide and everyone's going to come through.
Yeah, indeed. This is the difficult part of this, right? You're either fighting for a podium, which is amazing, or you're going to have a moment and you're going to be ending up in 9th position. The difference in points between that is ridiculous, but the difference in time will be so minimal. There'll be 2 laps left to go as we come around the final corner to complete what I recently was informed is the ante-penultimate lap. So we now are on the penultimate one, and of course it's Sherwood from Woodhatch, then from Jamie Hopper, who we ride on board with.
There's a word for the penultimate.
There's for the pre-penultimate, yeah, for the one before the penultimate, there's a word for that as well.
That is madness. I'm not going to use that one. As we're seeing here, side by side, Milikangas sending it down the inside, trying to get back involved in his podium fight. The 24 is a little bit of a wiggle, pushes Hopper wide in towards the loop we go now with 2 by 2 with Woodhatch. And actually, Hopper in the defence actually attacks Woodhatch up the inside, now cuts off McClemens. And there's also Milikangas round the outside. You've got to look everywhere, left, right, and behind you. Oh, there goes Kendall.
Yeah, Matt Kendall skipping straight across. He'll be able to rejoin, but he is now out of the fight for the victory unless they all crash, which is very possible. As Croft and Woodhatch is now into the race lead. Jaden Sherwood with a look down the inside in the Brooklands. He's tried that one a couple of times. Has a big kick as he gets onto the brakes, maybe locking the rears ever so slightly. Right on board with Jamie Hopper, who's trying to send it around the outside. Dylan McClements has dropped down the field, though. What has happened to the green and orange machine? He returns his way to 8th position, but still with a couple of laps left to go. This one and the final one following it. Still plenty of time to recover his way up the field.
Sam Sanders is well involved in this as well. I'm absolutely loving this race. To the inside, Sherwood goes, big send for the lead. Up the inside of Woodhatch, and they're going to slide wide a little bit. It slows down Hopper as well. Milikangas, who are coming in behind, that's going to bunch everyone up as the top 7, top 8 drivers even work their way up towards Maggers, all nose to tail. And this is so close and so tight. You've got to find your line, and the track is getting more and more wet as the race goes on as well. We're a couple of seconds off where we were at the start of the race, and that's not just due to the battling, but the rain that is going down, the spray that's coming off these tyres. 1 minute remains as Woodhatch leads, but it is far from over.
Yeah, and like I say, there's still plenty to figure out in all of this, with Jaden Sherwood dropping a position to Teemu Milikangas. The top 2 from the previous race return to being the top 2 in this race. It's going to be very exciting as to how this one's going to unfold. Cameron Roger, you picked Crofton Woodhatch to win this race. He currently is your race leader. He's got Teemu Milikangas behind him, who was able to beat off in the previous race. Can he do so once more? 30 seconds left to go on the clock. We're about to head on to the final lap of this race.
This race has been absolutely incredible. White flag comes out. Oh, big slide in the background as well for Jordan. McClemens cuts him off. Sherwood is trying to make something happen to hold on to 3rd place, but Hopper, I tell you what, Hopper is looking good as well in this race. Bramley's in behind. It is up to any of these drivers to try and make something happen with half a lap to go. Oh, big slide there. Huge contact from Sherwood. He's going to take out Hopper as well. Both of those drivers having strong races, but the smallest mistake has big consequence.
Yeah, indeed. And so the 9 went down to 8. The 8 head down then into what is just 7, really maybe 6 cars that are vying for this race lead. It all separates out once more. Hayden Bramley defends from Sam Sanders, who went off the road in the opening stage of this race, going down into Stowe. Sanders works his way through and up onto the podium with only a few corners left to go in this race.
So now that the faster drivers have got to the front,
Woodhatch.
it's sort of splitting out a bit as, yes, Woodhatch goes wide and Milikangas is basically seeing an open door, an open opportunity. But yeah, they're not being bunched up with the faster drivers pushing through with the reverse grid. They've now swapped around and they are spreading out, so it's a bit less chaotic, and it's now down to the racecraft. Here goes Milikangas for the lead.
Yeah, can he find his way through? He was denied in the previous one by the driver he's battling with now. He looks to the inside as they head their way into Cops. The up and under potentially coming in here for Crofton Woodhatch. Can he refine the slipstream as they work their way back out through Magus Beckers and Chapel? Off the road in the background there, I think, was Matt Kendall. Dylan McClements has found his way past on Hayden Bramley as well. And now through on Sam Sanders as well. It's Dylan McClements onto the podium, but there's big contact there between Sanders and Bramley. Between Sanders rather and McClements. And Bramley's found his way back onto the podium as Woodhatch is back into the race lead.
Top 3 breakaway now. I think the podium is sorted, but what order is it going to be? Woodhatch, Milikangas, Bramley, final time in towards the braking zone. Milikangas, he thought he had the lead at Cops, but now for one final time to the outside.
Yeah, he's got to do it here at Stowe. This is it, the final real opportunity. Side by side between the top 2. We saw these battle for the race lead a few moments ago. Milikangas is out wide though, and Woodhatch has found his way through. He looks like he's going to be able to hang on. Crofton Woodhatch will be victorious for the 5th time this season. Importantly though, it will be 4 in a row for Crofton Woodhatch. A brilliant drive to go from 9th to 1st in what has been an unbelievable race here at the home of British Motorsport. The wet weather has put on quite the show, as has the field here in the UK Formula 4 1600s, as Crofton Woodhatch is victorious once again.
You could not write this stuff. Unbelievable race. The second race of the evening for the Formula 4 1600s. That changed every single corner. In the end, it spread out with some incidents at the end. Sanders is going to be down there in 8th with McClements after their contact halfway through that lap as well. Jonathan Smith getting up into 13th as we see there. But oh my word, that top 8, top 9, oh, just a tiniest bit of contact, bit of a wiggle from McClements. He couldn't turn right and therefore went straight, made further contact with Sanders. And that's a big shame from that driver because he was looking so strong. Any of those drivers, Lewis, could have been on the podium. In the end, it was Bramley. There was further contact. I think that was Jordan with Sanders as well. So Sanders having good pace, but only getting 8th place.
Yeah, indeed. That's a troublesome end to what has been a chaotic race. Crofton Woodhatch then will be victorious for the 4th time in a row. Team Miller Kangas, the same top 2 from the previous race. Hayden Bramley, though, will join them on the podium. 15th to 3rd. Great drive from Bramley. Matthew Jordan in 4th position with Kendall, then Sherwood, Hopper, Sanders, Summers, and Rebecca Morell from the reverse grid pole down into 10th position. Sam Sanders, for the 2nd time, is getting the fastest lap of the race, proving once again he has the pace, but maybe not quite the race to put it all together. Didn't quite have the luck to go with. Mario Rass goes up from the rear end of the field up into 11th position with Jonathan Smith, Jeffrey Decker, Mark Winter, Isaac Gade in 15th position with Paige Dovenbout. Dylan McClements will finish down in 17th. The 2nd time this season been running in the battle for the victory, or at least the podium, before finishing right the way down the field at the end of the race. Wan Shilin would finish a lap down. Brandon Loudon, a retirement from the race. A lot to discuss after that one, not just between myself and Cam, but also between myself and our podium. Crofton Woodhatch, the superb performance to put on yet another victory. It is Woodhatch on top for the 4th consecutive time. We were talking about that in the post-race interview after race number 1, and you've done it 4 in a row, back-to-back good race 2s that has netted you another victory. That's incredible.
Yeah, happy with that. I didn't think I was going to get it at one point because I was still in like 8th. I think still fighting with everyone, and then all of a sudden people started. I think the conditions were getting worse and worse, so people were just getting caught out a little bit, and I was just able to be there to pick up the pieces. But no, I was still putting on some overtakes. Good race, good points. Yeah.
Whilst both races were wet, it did seem as though the conditions were very different from one race to the other. Of course, race 1 had a lot more standing water. Race 2, less standing water, but it seemed like there was almost maybe more rain dropping down. Well, there was rain dropping down the circuit quite a lot there. What was the difference of conditions like from your perspective? Which one was harder? Which one was easier? What was it like racing in a pack of 9 cars that looked absolutely mental? I
think the first race was easier. It wasn't as... The second race was a lot like slippier. It was just a bit more. It was greasier. But no, the first race was you had to avoid big puddles. The second race was you don't know where the grip is pretty much, so you're just guessing on every lap going into every corner. But no, once I got out in the lead, I was a bit nervous because it was still raining and getting heavier. And then I think you saw on the final lap, Timu and Hayden went off at the same corner at Stowe, I think, because the conditions were just getting worse and worse every lap pretty much. But when you're in the pack, you sort of are just judging off of everyone else. So once I got into the lead, it was a bit in the unknown, but no, I managed to hold on to it and keep the win.
Obviously, I'm going to get way too far ahead of myself here, but the longest streak of victories in the UK Formula Ford 1600s history was, of course, Henry Moore in our opening season, 6 in a row. Obviously, you're now on 4 in a row, which means that you could tie that at Knockhill. How are you feeling about Knockhill in a couple of weeks' time? Is it you're reckoning it's going to be a tough one if there's a big reverse grid again? Yeah,
it will be tough if there's a big reverse grid, to be honest. I need to have a good race there. I didn't have a good race there last season. It was probably my worst or second worst round, so I'm just looking to do better than I did last year. It's possible. I think Henry won both round there, so it's definitely possible. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, best of luck. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time. Enjoy the breather.
Thank you.
There we go, Crofton Woodhatch. Let's chat to our other podium finishers, of course, with Team Miller Kangas once again on the podium. Coming up once again, short of victory, but what a great round. 2 second-place finishes. That victory's out there somewhere, Timu.
Yeah, I managed to get to the battle again, but then I overshoot the braking on the last lap. Well, congrats to Crofton again.
What do you think is going to happen in a couple of weeks' time when we go to Knockhill? Those races, the races here have been pretty crazy. The races there north of the border, potentially going to get some rain involved as well. You never really know what's going to happen up there.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything yet. We will see, but it will be interesting.
We will keep our fingers crossed for you, team. It's been a tough night of racing. We'll let you have a bit of a breather. 2 second-place finishes, a great double podium.
Yeah, thank you.
And finally, our third and final driver onto the podium, Hayden Bramley, of course, who did not have a particularly good race one. You had great pace, you were battling up there, got dropped all the way down to 15th position. Didn't matter, though, for race 2, up into the podium with some dramatic final lap antics. What was that like? That race looked crazy.
Yeah, there was plenty of times where I thought it was over. I think it was like 4 or 5 times that someone spun directly in front of me and like cut across my nose. There must have been like inches off from actually hitting me, and and there was a few times where people checked up and you just couldn't tell that was going to happen. Like there's so many things that could have went wrong that somehow didn't.
Obviously, 9 cars there battling for the race lead, which is always crazy. You got a bit of a special livery on for this round. Feels like there might be a little bit more weight that was on your shoulders on that one. What was that like?
Yeah, it's been hard the last week or so. It was Thursday when it happened. So it hasn't really been much time to get involved with the race. I'm happy I can at least put it on the podium for race 2. Put a little bit of honour for him. But yeah, it's a different vibe from the start of the season, definitely.
Well, I'm sure with a drive like that, you'd have done your granddad proud. Great drive and great entertainment for us here in the booth. Thanks, Hayden, so much. And again, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you.
There we go. Race is all done there for the UK Formula Ford 1600s. Next up, though, it'll be time for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. It's going to be so exciting. Weather conditions look like it's going to be basically the same. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment's time for that. The home of British Motorsport hosts the British Formula 4 Esports Championship here once again as we get ready to go racing, of course, in what has been an exciting, frantic and chaotic season, which sees Henry Moore trying to battle for the title, trying to find his way to the top. Matt Caruana, though, is the one who will be leading. Can he hold that lead coming out here at Silverstone? We are halfway through the season. Let's talk you through the format once again. If you haven't joined us before, lone qualifying is where they're presently at. We'll be joining those in just a second's time. They only have 10 minutes to qualify around this 2-minute or so lap circuit. Of course, then we'll have the first race before race number 2, that reverse grid, rounded between P5 and 15, unlike with the UK Formula Ford 1600s where it's just between 5 and 10. Always performs its fair share of drama. Trust me, you would take 9 in this if that were the case. But of course, we do expect some big numbers to be pulled. Let's talk you through the prizes, of course. The £5,000 prize pool for the Teams Championship, £2,500 for the winning team, £1,500 for second place, and £1,000 for the third place team. Of course, you've got those base performance simulator prizes. The top 3 teams will receive 1 full day on the single-seater simulator at Banbury, the base performance simulators alongside an engineer. They also will get the 2026 Tools British Formula 4 Championship hospitality for the winning team, which is always great to have those tickets and get that experience with the British Formula 4 Championship. But of course, there is the pole position award, which we'll be talking about in a few moments' time. Of course, the pole position award presented by Base Performance Simulator. The driver with the most pole positions across the season will win the BPS FW1 steering wheel and the BPS DDU as well. So some great prizes for them to battle for. Of course, the top of the Drivers' Championship, as I mentioned just a second ago, is Matt Caruana by those 13 points, ahead of Henry Moore. Remy Gilbert as well, not too far behind. Danny Moreno in 4th position, and Leo Brown going about it, hanging on in the top 10 of the championship. Championship. You've got Iggy Smith and Augustin Torlaschi, who has recently become our most recent winner of the British Formula 4 Esports Championship after the win was taken away from Graham Carroll in the final race, Alton Park. Pablo Espez and Rope Kokopau will be rounding out the top 10. On the Teams Championship, it's Team Benek, who are miles clear of Hymo setters by EMM. They're embroiled in a very tight fight there for second position against TC Esports, who now have both drivers taking to the top step of the podium this season. Drive Lounge Racing about 80 or so points off of that fight for second and third position. Scuderia Ferrari HB Esports not quite as strong as they were back in 2024. You never know how their form is going to unfold throughout the season. You've got Aston Martin and Aramco F1 Esports team, Alpine, Aztec, Williams Sim Racing, and G2 Esports rounding out the top 10. We are straight into qualifying. Henry Moore is taking to the circuit, and of course he's just coming through Luffield here. Can he steal away another base performance simulator pole position?
I think he probably can. With the speed that he and his team Benek have showed, it's been quite remarkable actually, the consistency that they've had, but they don't lead the Drivers' Championship, which is very important indeed. They need to get either Moore or Gilbert up there, but they are missing out by some 13 points to Caruana, who's having such a good season so far. He's got 3 podiums in the previous 4 races as well, with of course a couple of second places and a win. So it's going to be very, very fun to see how we're going to open up this second half of the season here at Silverstone. It's a very interesting track actually for these cars, with how fast and how medium speed they are, but such long straights, just like what we saw previously. There's going to be a lot of slipstream out there.
Certainly so. One of the other main notable features, not only with the increase of power, the increase of downforce compared to the UK Formula Ford 1600s, completely different type of racing that we get in this, but also they do get these slick tyres as well. So if it does rain like it did in the UK Formula Ford 1600s, we do need to see those wet tyres pop out into action. So we'll have to wait and see how that one's going to unfold. Henry Moore will cross the line to provisionally take the base performance simulator pole position just ahead of Rope Kokopau, but of course we're waiting for those other times to come in. Remy Gilbert now moves up onto the provisional pole position. When it comes to pole positions this season, there have been 3 different drivers that have taken a BPS pole position. Henry Moore's taken 2 of them at the opening round of the season, and of course at round 3 of this championship campaign. Danny Moreno had the pole position at Thruxton, and Matt Caruana had the pole position back in Alton Park a week ago. Will Remy Gilbert become the another different driver, the 4th different driver to take a BPS pole position this season? Augustin Torlaschi here, our most recent winner then, of course, the championship, following on from Ronnie Smith, who took victory courtesy of a penalty at Old Park.
Yeah, some of the Alton Park, it seems, a little bit dodgy out there, and Will Chadwick involved both times on both ends. Very interesting race we had at Alton Park just 1 week ago. Yeah, TC Sports getting 1st and 3rd as well in that race, in the second race in the end after penalties. So sitting 3rd in the Constructors' Championship, and they are just 8 points behind Hymo setters by EMM as well. So that's Caruana and Chadwick just ahead of them. So Moreno and Torlaschi, 3rd and 4th as it sits. That's not looking too bad for them.
No, it's not too bad at all. We've said this quite a lot with the TC Sports team, especially when they impressed so much in the opening couple of rounds of the season, that I don't know what you were necessarily expecting from TC Esports. Of course, Thibaut Courtois' esports team there coming into the season. I was expecting maybe some solid results, but I wasn't expecting what we've got here. A team that's really fighting up there in the championship. They're fighting for second place in the championship, which is no mean feat against the Hymo setters by EMM squad.
Yeah, I mean, they're ahead of Drive Lounge, who's basically, linked to Benek, who are leading the championship. But then they're also ahead of 4 Formula 1 teams of Ferrari, Aston Martin, Alpine and Williams. So they certainly have come out swinging in the opening half of the season. And I think they're going to be fighting all the way to the end. It's going to be a tight championship. Maybe not for the win on the championship. Benek are looking very good for that. But for second place, it is going to get very close between them and Hymo. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. They're an exciting pairing of drivers as well out there. They do bring the entertainment.
Yeah, they always put on quite the show. Speaking of people who put on quite a show, Gerga Bowdy here, who we're currently on board with, yet to get a podium in this current season, the 2025 campaign, but does have a few top 5s, a few top 10s, has finished all of the races this season. His lowest finish has been 14th, his highest finish has been 5th. That's pretty consistent, all things considered. And across the line, he's obviously in 26th position. That was just a banker lap time for him. Goes up into 12th. Does have enough time to have one final go at this BPS pole position, which is provisionally held by Remy Gilbert. But importantly, we've said about Team Bennett being so strong. Look who's first and second. It is both the Team Bennett drivers.
Which, considering how close everything is, especially inside the top 7, that is remarkable that they just always have that extra few hundredths of a second compared to their drivers. The car looked very stable there as we work our way through Cops into Magus Beckers and Chapel. Let's see just the speed that he's going to take through, keeping it in 6th gear and then dropping it down. Is it still going to be 4th gear maybe as you work away through Chapel? Yet 4th gear. That is going to be some nice average speed working through there. Very settled and stable. So they definitely know what they're doing with this car, and that's obviously explains why they're top of the championship.
Yeah, Henry Moore, of course, who is battling for the title here, knows this car through and through. When it comes to racing at Zandvoort a bit later on in this season, I think the entire field here in the British F4 Esports Championship might have got a bit of a scare a few days ago when in the FIA Formula 4 Esports Global Championship, the opening round of that season ended up being at Zandvoort, and guess who absolutely dominated proceedings there? He pieced together a great qualifying lap and also led pretty much the entire, I think he led all of the race. It was Henry Moore. Will he be able to do the same here? Well, he's not going to be able to start from the base performance simulator's pole position because he missed out on that lap. Remy Gilbert will still be the one hanging on.
Oh my word, he's just gone 2 tenths quicker as well. So Henry Moore only improved by, I don't know if you saw that, he improved by 2 thousandths of a second from his second to his third lap. But Gilbert goes almost a couple of tenths faster and puts his foot down for this pole position. Moreno also improves by a little bit, stays in 3rd place. So the top 3 improving their laps, but staying in the same position. Here comes the BS Competition's number 93 of Will Murdoch as he comes across the line. Is he going to get himself up any higher? No, stays in 8th.
So there we go. No major switches late on there. Alexander Strabel having a bit of a spin. 40 seconds left to go. Pablo Espes will not be able to complete the lap time here. We'll see him still take a little bit of a trip around this circuit. But it does seem as though, unless anyone else remains on a time, that Remy Gilbert will be the 4th driver this season to take a base performance simulator's pole position. And of course, for a driver who is up there in the title fight, he had his podium streak ended in the last race. He finished in 9th position, but before that was on 5 consecutive podiums. The only important bit is the only driver in the top 5 of the championship yet to take a victory in 2025.
Indeed, and it's I just noticed something. The top 5 in the qualifying are the top 5 in the championship, so so close. And ironically, though, only 2 of those top 5s got a podium in the last race. Interesting.
Well, Team Bennett will lock out the front row with Remy Gilbert and Henry Moore in 1st and 2nd. Danny Moreno in 3rd position with Matt Caruana in 4th. Leo Brown for Drive Lounge Racing in 5th position with Augustin Talashi, meaning both TCE sports cars will start on in the top 3 rows. Shami Shintani in 7th position with Will Murdoch there. Ryan McAuliffe in 9th position with Charles Genet, who did improve late on in the session for Aztec Racing. Connor Jupp and Iggy Smith in 11th and 12th positions. Kieran Harding, Gergo Bowdy, Robin Glarham and Jonathan Riley will return as well with Lucas Herman and Will Chadwick. Probably disappointed with the current running down in 18th position. Rope Kirkapau with Pablo Espes. Ollie Stone, Mr. Boxman, will be starting from 21st in the 21 alongside his teammate Corioline in 22nd position. Diana Perez and Alexander Strabel, who went for a spin there at the end of the session, will start from 24th. Anna Maria Di Pasquale will start from 25th position alongside Olivia Hayward, Izzy Matthews, Charles Wimbley, Joel Hull and Pedro Silva for the Aston Martin Aramco Esports team. Was unable to qualify. Same with Joel Hull after exclusions from qualifying. So we can see them preparing to take to the grid. Great qualifying, great pole position there from Remy Gilbert. He's proven that he can grab podiums. Can he grab that victory, though? We've seen him win before. This, though, feels like it might be a bit of a challenge against a teammate.
Yes, and it is quite important, though. So no drop rounds here. It's 26 points of Caruana. He's going to need a victory again in the second half of the season, and this could be a good place to do so. But from what we saw in the Formula 4 1600s, there's going to be a lot of slipstream here, and let's see who comes out on top.
Yes, indeed. So we are prepared and ready to go. 20 minutes onto the clock with, once again, a Team Fennec front row lockout with Remy Gilbert and Henry Moore in the front row. Moore will drop straight into the slipstream with his teammate as they head their way into the opening corner. Danny Moreno will remain in third position with Caruana, Brown, Torlashi, Shintani. It's Murdoch and McAuliffe that were switching positions there for 8th and 9th position, with 8th going the way of Ryan. McAuliffe looks to the outside and to the inside. A bit of 3 wide there as Danny Moreno was trying to sneak his way around the outside of Matt Caruana and Henry Moore, and will indeed find his way through. Great move from Moreno.
And here comes Caruana, though, with the run, the momentum up the inside, 3 wide. He's going to get a bit of slipstream from Gilbert leading the way, who actually goes back to the middle to give slipstream to his teammate. Can Caruana complete this up the inside of a 3 wide situation? Moreno's on the outside. Henry Moore is a bit of a tricky situation. They fall in line, single file, as Brown looks on in 5th place.
And now, obviously, looking at the old stat book, Matt Caruana and Henry Moore both have 7 victories apiece. The #1 spot on the all-time winners list goes the way of Luke McEwen and Pete Berryman at 8 wins apiece. A victory for them this evening could see them go joint top at the all-time. If they take both victories, which is very possible around here, then maybe we'll see a new leader on the all-time winners list. At the moment, though, it's Remy Gilbert who's pulled out by half a second as we go into Maggotts, Beckers and Chapel for the first time.
Yeah, this is far from done, though. A lot of fast drivers, as I say, top 5 on the road, top 5 in the championship. The big names up towards the front, and they are not going to give up without a fight. But Gilbert's looking strong, isn't he? There's Tolashi as well in 7th place. That is a strong qualifying for them. He's got to follow his teammate through, who's up in 4th, because a Constructors' Championship is on the line for these guys as well.
Indeed. We'll say Henry Moore was victorious around here 12 months ago, along with Elias Riker in the reverse grid race. Remy Gilbert, who currently leads the race, I don't think he had particularly the best run around here. He was 8th and 5th, so not too bad, but he's aiming for something better. He's aiming for another victory. He's had 2, 1 a season in the 2 seasons that he's done in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. He currently leads the way, but those gaps are closing up at the front of the field as the slipstream's taking over. 1 lap complete. Is Gilbert leading from Caruana, Moore, Moreno, Brown, McAuliffe, Augustin Torlashi's dropped down the order. There is a crash in the background.
Yeah, Holland Strabel went off at the final corner. Shintani's obviously had some issues as well. He's down 23 places on that opening lap, so he really got cluttered out to the way somewhere at some point. We'll try and take a look at that one. But yet 2 big crashes on the opening lap. Ollie Stone is dropping down the way as well. Oh, there's already a wiggle there. And then I think it was Hull got tagged by Strabel, but I didn't quite see how that one started.
I think yeah, potentially. It might be the other way around, but yeah, either way, there was a bit of a moment and then the tag. That is the important bit to pick out. Also got this one and the big slide coming off for Shintani, dropping down the field now into 30th position. Big shame for Shoma Shintani. Out then onto the old start-finish straight. Gilbert will be leading from Caruana and Moore. And again, we've said time and time again, yes, Gilbert and Moore are teammates. Yes, Leo Brown is a part of the sister stable of all that group. Matt Caruana, in the years that he has been racing in this championship, he's always had to deal with these teammate games either side of him, whilst he feels like a bit of a lone wolf. I think he likes feeling like a lone wolf. He certainly does a good job of it.
And let's see this once again determined as he's going to make contact there. Unfortunately, with one of the Ferrari cars, that's the 70th Riley, who missed the previous round, comes back in, already getting into some shenanigans.
Did realise, by the way, I'm just taking a look at the old stats here. The top 2 here, between Remy Gilbert and Matt Caruana, they have both got the most, well, it is, you know, they're the 2 most experienced drivers on this field. Henry Moore will look to the inside for the 2nd position. Remy Gilbert has 39 races. Matt Caruana has 40 races of the 52 that we've had in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Henry Moore is trying to mix it with them, but of course has so many victories in this championship. The way they're just going to be playing the slipstream here might open the door for Danny Moreno to potentially start knocking at the door. Ryan McAuliffe as well will try and find his way into this mix somehow.
Yeah, for Caruana looking to the inside. Don't think that's necessarily the place to make the overtake, but you're at least trying to bring some tension to your rival up ahead. They stay in line as we work our way through the 3rd corner of the track. Leo Brown in the background has got Danny Moreno as well for 4th position. Side by side they remain in towards the loop. Moreno gets that one back, and now McAuliffe is going to be diving up the inside. Oh, that's going to be so close between them as the driveline driver gets pushed to the outside. He's got a bit of slipstream ahead, but it's Moreno who now chooses to give that slipstream to try and force that battle up ahead, but Brown is not going to give this one up on that inside.
Yeah, of course, like you say, Moreno there trying to force the side-by-side between those two cars behind. Going into Brooklands, it is still going to be, it is going to go the way of McAuliffe there. Leo Brown behind, then Augustin Torlashi with the fastest lap of the race. And of course, do you remember the fastest lap does come with a bonus point for it? We take a look on board with Ryan McAuliffe in the very dark room. We've spoken about this time and time again over the last few seasons. I couldn't do that. Surely that's a lot of strain of the eyes. Dark room, but bright screen.
And no blue light glasses either. That's, I mean, full concentration, let's be honest, but that is certainly some strain. Don't do that for hours on end. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I don't mind it, but definitely gotta have at least a little bit of background light. He's got podiums though. We've spoken to him before this season, so he knows what he is doing. It's working for him, as we are seeing Gilbert still leading from Caruana, who's not making a move this time around. Is this the choice of sitting in behind for now, but they're not exactly pulling away?
Do you remember how many podiums Ryan McAuliffe has in 32 races?
1, 2.
It is 1, and it was early in the season, which is impressive for a driver who has shown so much speed. We spoke to him on that podium, of course, earlier on the season in race 2 at Thruxton. That is a determined man to find a victory this season, and he's got the pace. It's just about piecing it together. At the moment, he sits in this lead battle as we ride on board with Henry Moore. Already ticking down 6 or so minutes of this race. Still plenty of time left to go, and for this lot up here, they'll be well aware of the long game that needs to be played here.
Yeah, championship on the line halfway through the season, and they're top 3 in the championship, top 3 on the road as well, so they all know what's up for grabs. You don't want to be getting into some silly battle and allow the third of the top 3 to get away and have some easy points. So that is why they're sitting calm at this moment in time. The problem is that it's just a big train behind, so it's going to get very tense, like what we saw earlier. It's the top 12 drivers down to Glareham, who's all in this big battle, is going to explode at some point.
It certainly will. You know it does. Like later on in this race, it all just comes together, and we do get that chaotic crescendo on the race to the checkered flag. Look at how much of the racetrack is being used there from Remy Gilbert as he pulls over straight to the left-hand side, using all of the available road there on the run through Cops and on the exit as well. We ride on board with Matt Caruana. We'll be picking up those bits of dirty air, praying that no rain will be coming down on this race. I don't believe it will. I think it's just going to remain overcast, so we should be safe from it. Safe is a relative term. I mean, I don't know about you and me. I wouldn't mind a little bit of rain.
That would be quite interesting, considering, as you say, they have the wet tyres, but they're in the pit lane. So do you stay out in such a short race? Do you actually stay out on the wet track? That would be a very interesting situation should we get to it. 12 minutes remain in the opening race of the British F4 Esports Championship for tonight. A little bit wide there for Gilbert, but he holds on. No big mistakes, but I know the slipstream pulls everyone together as well, but I don't think Gilbert is the fastest driver in this train either.
Don't worry, everyone. I'm just teasing you. We aren't going to get any rain in this race. I've just checked the weather forecast. It is not raining in this one. It is what it is. We're just going to remain overcast and foggy, also known as British weather.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is a summer's day. I mean, this is mid-August out here in the UK, unless it's the 2 weeks, the random 2 weeks where the sun does come out. As there is Moreno looking fairly calm, to be honest. He sat there in 4th place. He did not look stressed at all. He's just waiting, biding his opportunity, trying not to have any major issues in this race. As I think, is that Chadders that we're looking at, the number 88, unfortunately not able to keep up with his teammate up in 2nd.
No, let me tell you what this is. This is perfect golfing weather, as I'm sure Paul Crawford will also agree. There was the slide and the spin then from Will Chadwick, and the slamming of the curb. Thankfully, this isn't IRL, because that looks painful. Either way, we look back at Pablo Espes trying to keep a couple of drivers behind. I think it is... it would be going to go about it directly behind him, wouldn't it?
It would be the number 13 fighting for 13th place with Espes up ahead of him. And these drivers, they were having some solid races so far this season, but unfortunately they've dropped way off. So it's now Connor Jupp who's on the back of the top train. They dropped off by 3 seconds, so they're not going to be involved with the top points here today, as there's Harding for Drive Lounge in the 58 machine trying to work his way further up. He's got some spectators in behind. The extra pressure at the Drive Lounge studio.
Yeah, of course, trying to keep an eye on how this race is unfolding for Harding. He's dropped back a couple of positions on this lap. He's dropped back behind Gergabaldi and Pablo Espes. That's why he's running in 15th, started the lap in 13th, right onto the rear end of Gergabaldi. He said before, time and time again, a well-established driver in the world of sim racing, multiple WTCR Esports champion. He's even beat me in a couple of races, so you know, pretty solid driver there. Remy Gilbert currently leads. Matt Caruana, Henry Moore behind. I don't think Zach Sweeney's ever beat me in a race.
Possibly not, but have you?
Because we never had a race together, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Just wait, one day he will be. It was maybe Caron is going for the lead this time. They're not going to sit behind forever, and I'm very surprised that they're waiting so much, purely because the gaps aren't working. They aren't opening up behind, so the opportunity is still there. They're just giving themselves less time. At least if someone goes for it, they might splinter it up and then have less of a battle. I mean, they've got 10 drivers in 2 seconds, 12 in 2.5. This is not looking good by the time we get to the last 3 laps and everyone opens the door.
Full concentration here from Danny Moreno, using that slipstream onto the rear end of Henry Moore. Of course, Caruana and Remy Gilbert, all these drivers know what it takes to get the job done, to see the checker flag first. But as we've mentioned before a few times during this race, I get the feeling that we're getting some looks here, Cam, but I'm not getting the feeling that we're getting anything major. I think everyone's being a little bit patient. As the race ticks on, though, those further behind this, your Leo Browns, your Augustin Torlashes, even further back with the Iggy Smiths, the Robin Glarams, the Connor Jupps, will get a little bit more aggressive here, because they're going to need to work their way through so that they're there later on in the race. Leo Brown thinks now is the time to find his way past Ryan McAuliffe as works his way. Oh, a bit of leaning between the pair of them. Squeezes Ryan McAuliffe straight off the road. Don't know if you can keep that one.
Yeah, that is still not over yet, because there's a big send down the inside by McAuliffe. Fair play to McAuliffe to hold on to that one. Up the inside, though, is going to be for Brown. In towards the final. Oh, this is so tight. Sausage curve on the inside. They give each other room just about. Enough downforce there, but he's having to defend to the inside now, because Talashi is trying to get involved as well. Up the inside, McAuliffe in towards the first corner. Brown might effectively lose 2 places, or force McAuliffe to lose 2 places here. Talashi dives it down the inside. 3 wide we go. We're trying to get Murdoch on the outside as well.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit hectic for those drivers that are further down. Big contact there for Augustin Torlashi as he battles with Will Murdoch. Now trying to find his way around the outside of Charles Genet and Ryan McAuliffe as well in all of this. They're side by side up ahead. It's going to give it a little bit of slipstream to the rear end of Ryan McAuliffe as they work their way into Brooklands. Big breakaway happening then in that top group. Through the middle comes Will Murdoch. Iggy Smith on the inside, the Aston Martin Aramco Esports team car. That distinctive green that sees its way around the outside of the 214, trying to knock at the door, getting squeezed off by Murdoch as well.
And this has worked out perfectly for Leo Brown. Over a second is the gap now between 5th and 6th place. And so now it's just a top 5 breakaway. Top 5 in the championship. Genet is leading the way. Hey, will he do it on the exit of Stowe, though? Cops, I should say, yes, he can. And this is not good for Tolashi. He's going backwards and backwards, and unfortunately these guys are losing so much time now. They are batting. This is why they didn't do it for the last 3 or 4 laps. They were waiting for the opportunity. Leo Brown saw his, and now he's trying to push his way further forward. McAuliffe, that's really not worked out nicely for him. Dropped from 5th down to 7th.
Connor Jupp, we now see picking up the slipstream of Robin Glaram. Williams versus Alpine, you can see there, and we'll see if there is going to be the switch here. The number 35 knocking at the door. TCG Esports as well, not too far off the rear of this, in the hands of Augustin Torlashi, who has the fastest lap of this race, straight around the outside and completely ignoring track limits as if it was a touring car race around here at Silverstone. Goes Robin Glaram.
And this is far from over, is it? These battles, just over 5 minutes to go in this race. We've probably got about 3 laps remaining, and it looks like, yeah, top 5 broken away, but the next 5-6 cars, they are fighting for some crucial points in their own drivers and teams championship battle. Maybe a bit less points here compared to a race win, but so important if you want to be getting up there in the standings. Here is Smith currently in 9th position, but look at all the cars ahead that he's trying to find a way to try and get through, but unfortunately not this time around. Murdoch is looking strong for BS competition this time. Let's get the run out onto the Wellington straight.
Indeed, you can see that massive gap though between 5th and 6th position. Leo Brown back to Charles Genet, Ryan McAuliffe. 2 seconds now as Ryan McAuliffe will take over the lead of that group. That is, especially when battling, a fairly insurmountable gap. If you're not battling, that is entirely plausible to close down if the top 5, well I say if, when the top 5 do properly battle. But as the race ticks on, it becomes less and less likely, as we now see on board with Will Murdoch. A bit of a look to the outside of Charles Genet. Not quite find that move to try and get past the feisty Frenchman for the Aztec Racing team. Can they hold? Of course, both Aztec cars running pretty strongly here in 6th and 7th position between McAuliffe and Genet.
Yeah, it's a lot stronger of a round for them, but I mean, can they work together to hold on with a bit of a slipstream games? We saw earlier, though, it's not that you can't overtake around here. They're just trying to be sensible when they can do it, probably because it's the opposite. There's too many places where you can try and do it around here, but the laps do tick down. A couple to go. Gilbert still leads from Caruana, Moore, Moreno, Brown, like we've seen for the last few laps, but I doubt they're just going to let Gilbert have a nice, easy victory here. It's just not going to happen.
No, there is no way on earth that Matt Caruana, championship leader, is going to let Remy Gilbert, one of the drivers who he is in contention with, cruise to the checkered flag without challenge. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Penultimate lap of the race begins. 5 in that battle for the race leaders. Leo Brown sets the fastest lap of the race. A look to the outside coming in from Danny Moreno for that final step on the podium. TC Esports knocking at the door. Will Murdoch for BS competition drops his way down the field. There has been drama behind.
Yeah, he's lost about 4 places there, unfortunately. So there must have been a little bit of contact, maybe with Smith, maybe with Genet in that battle around 7th, 8th position. Unfortunately for the BS competition driver who, their team obviously won the reverse grid race last year at this track, but not this time around, at least not in race number 1. He goes a little bit wide there through turn 2. He's gonna slows down. Yeah, must have gone off the track through the final corner and had to do the slow down by turn 3.
I was going to say that looks suspiciously like your line through the opening corner there, but alas, losing a couple of spots, no comment. Well, I mean, it went right. He sliced it. Matt Caruana still looking to try and find his way through to get his 8th victory in British Formula 4 Esports, to go joint top of the all-time winners list. Henry Moore is also in contention for that trophy as well, or that accolade rather. Remy Gilbert is looking for his first victory of 2025. It would be his 6th podium of the season though. He's had an incredible run of podiums this season. He's looking for yet another one.
Certainly is. A little bit of a defensive line this time around. Gilbert knows it's coming, and it's a big defensive line actually for Moore, because Moreno around the outside for TC Esports trying to make something happen. Doesn't do it this time around. That opens up the door to Brown to have a half a sniff down the inside as well. And now we're coming on to the final lap. So this is when the driver's going to start taking some risks. Moreno doesn't really go for the overtake, but tries to get more offline. But actually now it's going to be Brown who tries to come into that one, but can't quite make it work. Final lap time, the white flag is out. Gilbert's led from the start, but will he lead one more lap?
5 cars battling for victory. The top 5 in the championship. They are out of order from that championship order, though. It is Gilbert from Caruana, from Moore, from Moreno, from Brown. Gilbert in 3rd in the championship. Caruana the championship leader. Henry Moore 2nd of the championship. Moreno and Brown are the correct way around in 4th and 5th. I'm sure Brown will look to try and get past Moreno in the near future to try and sneak some more points for not only heat, but also for Drive Lounge Racing. Final run out onto the Wellington Straight, as we'll see if Remy Gilbert is able to hang on. Big defensive line. Matt Caruana going back on the attacker. Look to the outside as they go into Brooklands.
I like that from Gilbert, looking very calm, but looking in his rearview mirror 3-4 times as he tries to hold on to this position. Caruana almost pushing the 54 as you work our way through Luffield out on to this very all-important straight, because this works your way up to Cops, and then the final run to the checkered flag. It is going to be a huge defensive line to the inside for Gilbert. Caruana's surely not going to send it to the outside here, but could send it up the inside. You've got to keep the momentum going. Can't let Moore have an opportunity to make it a 1-2 for Bennett.
Do like that Gilbert, though, is being proactive on his defence. He's basically driving it to the inside and saying, look, here's where I'm going. You figure it out past that point. Through Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel for the final time. We ride on board with Matt Caruana, who currently sits second in this race. The championship leader by 13 points over Henry Moore. He'll be extending that ever so slightly, courtesy of Moore being behind. But Remy Gilbert will be determined to hang on to the race lead, to take his first victory of the season, to allow his teammate Henry Moore to maybe find his way through and make it a 1-2 for Bennett. Here comes the look to the outside from Caruana. He'll try and go for the up and under as they work their way through Stowe. Final chicane still to go. Big kick of oversteer coming in from Remy Gilbert. Matt Caruana is going to go full send to the outside here. Will he be able to get past the Team Bennett driver? He's got the inside as they head their way through the final turn. And Matt Caruana is going to find his way through into an 8th victory as he goes joint #1 on the all-time winners list. A drag race to the line, though, could see Henry Moore stealing it away. Who will it be as it comes across the line? It is Caruana from Moore from Gilbert, separated by under 0.2 of a second. Moreno and Leo Brown make it half a second between the top 5. Incredible scenes, but it is a magical 8th for Caruana.
I thought he left that too late, but he made it work. The outside of the chicane, what a move. Gilbert pushed wide onto the rumble strip as well, lost that second position. So Henry Moore gaining a few more points on his teammate. They finish in championship order. This was quite something from Caruana. Your championship leader putting everything on the line. He didn't necessarily need the points, but it definitely helps around the outside. I mean, it's half a car length back, but Gilbert gave him the space, to be fair. And on the exit, just slides him up nicely. And that bump of the curb allowed the 77 of Moore to get through to second.
Yeah, I'm sure for those behind the scenes at Team Bennett, for the likes of Seb Hawkins and such, that would have been a bit like a, whoa, heart and mouth moment. But alas, they'll still take a second and third. It's more very healthy points. It's another podium for Remy Gilbert. It's another podium for Henry Moore, who has more podiums than any other driver this season. At now 7 podiums from the 9 races we've had. And of course, the big talking point heading into the second race is the reverse grid. What number will it be? 12. Wow, it is going to be a big one. That will not be ideal for the likes of Matt Caruana, who will take victory. That certainly is ideal. It is an 8th one of his British Formula 4 Esports career and a 3rd one of the season. Henry Moore then will finish in 2nd position with Remy Gilbert in 3rd. Danny Moreno in 4th with Leo Brown. Ryan McAuliffe and Charles Genet then in 7th position. Iggy Smith will finish in 8th with Robin Glaren and Colin Jupp rounding out the top 10. Leo Brown taking that fastest lap point as well, whilst finishing in 5th position. Augustin Torlashi couldn't make up for the great qualifying, unfortunately dropping down into 11th position. Still some solid points for TC Esports. Will Murdoch in 12th, Pablo Espez in 13th, with Gogo Bowdy, Kieran Harding, and then Pedro Silva. Corey Elaine in 17th position with Diana Perez. Of course, Ollie Stone and Will Chadwick with the spin there, the teammate of our race winner. Joel Hole, Rope Kokopau, Anna Maria Di Pasquale will finish in 23rd position with Izzy Matthews. Then Shoma Shintani had a big moment going into Cops early on in the race. Lucas Herman, Alexander Strabel, Olivia Hayward, Charles Wembley, and Jonathan Riley would be a retirement 28th, 29th, and 30th, all retirements from that race. Now, the important part to deal with here is chatting to our top grouping in the race, of course, starting with our race winner. I'm sure they're all waffling, but I'm still going to drag them in anyway. Of course, we'll start with Matt Caruana. Another victory, a 3rd one of the season, a championship leader. Things are looking very good for you. You pieced your way through perfectly. Before we start talking about some of the stats and such like that, that move through the final chicane around the outside of Remy, that was incredible. I mean, did you think you maybe left it a little bit too late? I know Cameron Roger, my co-commentator here, thought you might have done.
Yeah, to be honest, when we got into the back straight, I thought this is going to be difficult, but I had to go for it. Well, I didn't need to go for it, but I want to win races. yeah, no, it was a good move in the end. Like respect between me and Remy. And yeah, it was pretty tight, but yeah, I feel like we both gave each other enough room, and yeah, it was a good race.
You and Remy are the two most experienced drivers in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. You have one more race than him, but the pair of you have done effectively the same amount of races, same percentage of them. You said there's a lot of respect between the pair of you. Obviously, you've raced quite a lot in that. You seem fairly comfortable with racing between them, and I'm sure with Henry as well. Is that how it feels?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all like friends on the track, off the track, whatever. So there's always going to be a few incidents. Like last week, me and Remy had the little incident, but the respect's still there, and it'll always be like that. So yeah.
Other stats to talk about, of course, that's an 8th victory in British Formula 4 Esports. Means that you are now tied for first on the all-time winners list with Luke McEwen and Pete Berryman. That's got to be quite a feeling. I remember your first victory quite well, and now to have come to this point, proper title protagonist, right at the top there. What does that feel like to be on a list with names like Pete Berryman and Luke McEwen?
Yeah, it's great. Like, I'm really happy to be in like a list like that, and I feel like personally I've definitely improved a lot during my time in the championship, and yeah, I want to keep improving. Obviously, I probably won't win the championship this year because of the last round missing that, but yeah, I'm gonna give it my best go anyway.
Well, you never know. You got I think it's a 19-point lead in the championship. You build that over the next 5 races, you never know what might happen at Brands Hatch. Best of luck from 12th position it'll be. We'll catch up with you in the near future.
Cheers, thank you.
There we go. Matt Caruana once again victorious. Another driver hunting to go. Joint lead on the all-time winners list is Henry Moore. Another podium though. 2nd place for you today. We're able to sneak through there at the final corner on your teammate Remy Gilbert whilst it was all happening in front. 3 of you separated by a 10th and a bit of a second. What a crazy race there. I mean, you managed to pick through and score some decent points as well. What was that like?
Yeah, I think the quali lap wasn't amazing, but yeah, obviously a good lap from Remy to put it on pole, and yeah, I just feel a bit bad for Remy really. I felt like he deserved that win, but obviously there was a bit of an incident at the last chicane, so that took it away from him. But yeah, obviously still good points for us in the team's championship, and yeah, so overall it's a good race one.
Clearly what you think a not so great qualifying lap and what I think a not so great qualifying lap, 2 very different things. Last time you told me you didn't have a great qualifying lap, you had pole position at Zandvoort and were able to take victory in the FA Formula 4 Esports Global Championship. To have had that victory in that championship, to come into this, I mean, what's that been like as a mentality change?
I mean, look, it's definitely a good confidence boost, isn't it? Obviously, the caliber of drivers in that is extremely high. So, yeah, to come away with pole and then for the race to play out how it did, yeah, I was obviously extremely happy. But yeah, it's just back to it on this now. I think everyone was expecting a bit of rain in that race one, so I don't know if anyone really did any laps in the dry to prepare for that. So it was a bit interesting in the first few minutes of practice. But yeah, look, as you said, it was obviously a good race at Zandvoort, and looking to do the same now.
12-car reverse grid. Obviously, you'll be starting then from 11th position. Obviously, going to be quite a tricky one out there. Best of luck. We'll see how you get on. Of course, your team will be starting nearby. I'm sure you'll be able to work your way through. Cheers, Henry.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
There we go. Henry Moore onto the podium. The most podiums of any driver so far this season. His teammate also joined him on the podium once again, but was so close to taking that first victory of the 2025 campaign. But hey, it's still another podium. It's another top 10. You've finished in the top 10 in every single race, Remy. And of course, back on the podium after that 9th place in the second race at Alton Park. So very solid indeed, but I'm sure tough to see not taking that victory after that move from Caruana at the final turn.
Yeah, I mean, I had got contact at Stowe, which gave him the run. And then I got hit again on the exit of the last corner. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. Haven't led the whole race and put it on pole. So just got to recover in the second race and see what we can do.
What do you think you can do, considering it is such a large pack race? I mean, we had 9 cars for quite a lot of that battling. There was 5 obviously late on in the race. What do you think is possible around here? Because it seems like it's one of those circuits that you can move through the field, but obviously those breakaway groups kind of tend to happen.
Well, it depends if this next race is going to be wet or not. I'm still loading in, so I haven't quite seen it yet. But yeah, if it's wet, then it should be a little bit easier to overtake, I think. There's like a few different lines you can do, but I think in the dry, it's just a massive toe train, to be honest. So it's just about trying to pick your moves at the right time and go in places where people aren't expecting it. So yeah, let's just see what we do.
I'm assuming then hoping for a wet weather race in this one then, from your point of view?
Yeah, definitely. The practice in the wet has been good so far, so yeah, let's just see what we can do.
Well, either way, congratulations on your base performance simulator pole position as well. Congratulations on a 6th podium, and best of luck in the upcoming race.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Catching up with the top 3 in the championship as well. 1st, 2nd and 3rd for them. 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the race. Another brilliant victory for Matt Caruana. Another brilliant podium, though, for Henry Moore and for Remy Gilbert. And like I say, maybe maybe some rain dances happening there for quite a few of our drivers. Oh, he's muted his mic. What a talented fellow.
Unbelievable. Yeah, very static race there for quite a long time. Waiting for something to happen. Was that the rain? Was that just the sort of the way that the race went? Who knows? But what we did see is about 3 laps to go. We saw Leo Brown make that move with McAuliffe down into Stowe, and it just opened everything up. And that is why they didn't fight in the early parts of the race, because they wanted to keep that top lot together. If Caruana started going for that move earlier, it would have just caused all sorts of havoc behind. And we saw in the end, obviously, that sort of second group that formed because of that. I think we're going to see a similar situation once again, although obviously the faster drivers are now a little bit further back. They're going to be pushing their way forward. And I think you're going to see a couple of sends, because the difference in points here in this championship is actually quite dramatic. So for Caruana, he might be leading by 19 points. That could easily swap around if he has a little bit of a moment, and then Gilbert or Moore, they get up towards the podium. The points are going to swing very quickly.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. I actually really like this points format, because it really does, like I say, it is aggressive. It really rewards those victories, those top 5 results. If you're consistently in the top 5, you will be a championship contender, even if it's like 4th, as long as you're up there consistently. But the moment that you don't score any points, suddenly that gap blows way out of proportion. It rewards consistency, but it rewards being at the front. And especially when you have, like we said, even a 5-car group, the difference between 1st and 5th on those points is quite a large margin. Obviously 45 points for the victory, and then 39 for second. Even that 6-point margin is quite large. No, it's not as large as, say, for example, the percentage gap between 1st and 2nd on the standard FIA points of 25 to 18. But it's still quite a large jump, those 6 points. Absolutely, and the race results are so important. Looking at the qualifying stats here, I mean, Gilbert, the last 3 races got 2nd, 2nd, 1st in qualifying. Caruana's done 4th, 1st, 4th. So, okay, fair enough, 4th place is still not bad qualifying, but those couple of places, he's had to work through and get those extra points. So, Caruana has been so strong in the races, and that is why he is there leading the championship. As you say, consistency is the aim of the game. In this one is a very quick championship. Not many races overall in terms of the full season. Just 16 out there. And look, Lewis, this is definitely rain. So Henry Moore was expecting rain in the first one, didn't come, but race 2 is definitely going to be wet. Yes, indeed. Did see the note was scattered showers, which again does seem like a normal Wednesday. You can see the grooves are there on the tyres. It is obviously you can see there. You could be taking some slicks out on there. Although I would love to give it a go. It takes me back to one of the days when in my early esports youth, when we were practicing, when you get bored of practicing. Wow, that's a big puddle on the inside of the opening corner. My goodness. Wow, proper lake there. We'd have a bit of a fun time. You get on slick tyres at Spa, and the goal was to get to the top of Eau Rouge in the wet, which, by the way, difficult, really tough. That was one corner. You couldn't even make the first corner. On slick tyres, no, because you'd always spin out and actually like if you stopped, you couldn't get up. There's too much wheel spin. So it was basically like a challenge, like being a buttery smooth challenge. Not saying you could learn anything from it, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, sure it is. I mean, it's hilarious just watching Henry Moore, and he's on wet tyres as well. These puddles are huge. Look at the counter steer that he's having to do. The rear of the car is really rotating itself. And to us, Lewis, I'm a little bit scared coming in towards the first lap. Everyone's going to be slicing their way through the first couple of corners sideways in towards the braking zone at Village. This is going to be a bit dangerous, and to be honest, I'm loving the fact that he's taking different racing lines as well, sort of by choice, trying to get off the rubber line, get away from the puddles, trying to go as fast as he can. It's very cool to see how dynamic the track is with these wet conditions that we've had for the last couple of years here on iRacing.
Oh, that's an interesting line, slamming that curb. Well, I mean, we heard it from Remy Gilbert there in the interview that this is a circuit with the style it is, it's very open to interpretation when it comes to conditions like this, and you can chop and change. And of course, when we're in the race and there's 30 odd of these cars going around, it does change the conditions dramatically lap on lap, but of course this is what everyone will have been practicing for, is for conditions like this. Very interested with how this one is going to unfold. We'll tell you based on practice, not that it really matters at all, but Matt Caruana is topping the practice. Here we are on board with him. He's set 2:19.0, a tenth clear of Harding, Smith, Kirkpatrick, Chadwick. The times really don't matter, but I'm still reading them out anyway.
That's very interesting lap times, because this is literally just a couple of seconds faster than what the Formula Ford 1600s were doing earlier. Very, very interesting. Well, I have said that Henry Moore's just gone a second quicker than everyone else. So it's not quite a qualifying session, but they're using it because these couple of minutes are so important to get the knowledge before you go out and fight for a championship.
Right. We're moments away from me taking a deep breath and trying to get through 30 cars in a minute, so prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen this before, we're going to give it a good go. When it comes to points, by the way, we said about how important points are over the previous season. When it comes to points gap to the championship, 13 points separated the first season, 0 points separated the second, and 77 separated the third season. I suspect we might have a very close gap when it comes to that end at Brands Hatch later on in the season. The session moves over then from warm-up, and we get ready for another 20-minute race, although in very, very different conditions. A 12-car reverse grid sees Will Murdoch start from pole position with Torlashi, Jupp, Glarham, Smith and Charles Genet in 6th position, just ahead of the teammate for the Aztec team and Ryan McAuliffe. Leo Brown in 8th position with Danny Moreno, Remy Gilbert, Henry Moore and of course Max Caruana, an 8-time winner in this championship, starting from 12. Espes, Baldi, Harding, Silva, Aline and Perez will be in 18th position. The top 20 rounded out by Ollie Stone and Will Chadwick. Joel Hall will start from 21st with Rope Kirkapau, Di Pasquale in 23rd position with Izzy Matthews in 24th. Then Chintani, Herman, Strabel, Hayward, Wimbley and Riley will round out the 30-car field. You've literally got seconds. Who's winning? Cameron Roger?
Leo Brown.
Henry Moore. Why not? Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. 20 minutes onto the clock. Tricky conditions ahead of us, and we'll see how things unfold. It is Murdoch starting from the reverse grid pole position as we begin that run down into the first corner. Not a particularly good start though from Augustin Torlashi, who drops back into 3rd position, and they'll watch for that enormous puddle. There comes the spin for Torlashi. He has gone for a spin of the opening corner, and there is chaos behind. I think that might have been Charles Genet, who also went round for the Aztec team.
He certainly did, as this is not the opening lap for those guys, but they are just sliding, working their way through. It's not quite raining out there, but it's very wet. Oh, huge send in there by one of the drive lounge cars as well. I think that was Harding. What a move that would have been, but unfortunately didn't quite make that work. The green flag continues though, as everyone has got their way through. No massive crash, at least, as we work our way through turn 3 and 4.
Apart from one specific person missing from that list on the left-hand side. Can you guess who it is? Could it be the championship leader? Certainly is. Matt Caruana has rear right suspension damage, and he is dropping right the way down the order. There is big drama in the title race as Caruana here is struggling to wrestle this car around the Silverstone circuit. That car, I very highly doubt, will be scoring points this afternoon as he goes for a spin, understandably so in such tricky conditions with a tricky car. That is going to be impossible to drive round, and you can see how positive he looks on that face.
Oh my word, this is so big for the championship. I mentioned it in between the two races as well. If he has one bad race, you see, you know, Gilbert or Moore getting up there with some solid points, and he won't be leading the championship after being so consistent so far. Oh, further issues working their way down. Espes has gone off as well. All of the drivers getting past him as he tries to regain himself onto the track. It is tricky conditions out there, even with the wet tyres. I don't think we're going to be getting all of these drivers to the end of this race.
Will Murdoch here for BS Competition, trying to battle with Connor Jupp. Of course, BS Competition were victorious in this exact race 12 months ago with Elias Riker behind the wheel. A superb drive from him to take that victory. You've got Ryan McAuliffe trying to sneak his way through. Remy Gilbert as well, knocking at the door, trying to score some solid points as Will Murdoch's connection just tries to hang on all the way through this race. There comes the look to the inside from Iggy Smith. Remy Gilbert's gone straight around the outside, rather, as they work their way through the chicane. Remy Gilbert, I mean, look, he got disappointed with not taking victory in the previous race. He could be sneaking his way through to take one immediately.
He's miles ahead, 3 seconds, 4 positions ahead of his teammate Henry Moore. Let's see this once again with Tolashi working his way through the first corner. Just goes in way too fast, loses the rear end already. Oh, there was the contact in the foreground as well with Genet, I think it was, going for a spin. Not ideal. Let's see this, as it's going to be some contact with the Williams car on the inside. Just the tiniest bit of contact, but you're on ice and unfortunately spun around.
Yeah, you really need to see Caruana through all that, which is exactly what we're going to see here. So we're on board with Caruana, so you'll see the spin from Charles Genet. And there we go, it's just Genet coming straight back over. We'll say not holding his brakes. I think that's going to be, I know obviously, blah, 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 like you're still rolling, and then Stanley Alley might have been on the brakes a little bit. It is what it is. You can understand in those kind of tricky scenarios. The unfortunate thing, Caruana really out of luck in all of that, and for the driver who's been so consistent in this season, scoring points in every single race. His lowest position has been 7th up until this point. Unfortunately, that is going to last for 9 races and no more.
You never know what's going to happen, but imagine if he didn't overtake Gilbert, it would have been starting on the other side of the grid. Maybe it wouldn't have happened. Crazy how we have the reverse grid races, or even the reverse grid could have been a different number. So many variables, but unfortunately, everything lined up. Oh no! Oh, we go for a spin there. Ryan McAuliffe, he saves it, just losing the rear end. A very slow half spin for the 71. He's going to rejoin. Oh, there's so many drivers in behind. He's going to lose a lot of positions here with lack of momentum.
Kieran Harding's having a fantastic drive here, though, up to 8th position. Robin Glarum also comes through on Ryan McAuliffe. Danny Moreno is having a battle with Henry Moore. Back up to the front of the field where Connor Jupp for Alpine goes for a big slide there. He's going to open the door for Will Murdoch to potentially come through here. They're going to go side by side down into the final corner. Remy Gilbert inches closer and closer and closer. The 2-time winner of the British F4 Esports Championship. He's now knocking at the door to sneak through for his first victory of the season. He's got 15.5 minutes to find his way through on these two. I think he'll be feeling pretty confident that he'll be able to do it. He said he was looking forward to some rain. Well, he certainly got it, as there's been a spin once more for Ryan McAuliffe in the background, and Pablo Espes as well. Sorry, Robin Glarum rather, as well for Williams Sim Racing.
Importantly for the championship, Gilbert's got the fastest lap on the previous one as well, so the extra point is going his way. That's why he's highlighted in blue on the tower. So he's got the speed in this car. Leo Brown's trying to follow him through. Up the inside for second place, this could be. He is going to have the track position as we work our way through the kick, but Murdoch is not going to let this one up easily. That's going to let Jupp get away a little bit by 7/10 of a second, but Brown is following him, and Henry Moore, to be honest, is there as well. I would be surprised if we see those three on the podium a bit later.
Yeah, very much so. Here comes a look to the inside on Will Murdoch as Remy Gilbert, who's been having an incredible evening. He had the base performance simulator pole position earlier on in the night. He had 3rd position, but was battling for victory in the previous race. Now finds himself through into 2nd spot. Connor Jupp is not too far ahead, and he is within 0.8 of a second of closing down on the race leader for the Alpine Sim Racing team and finding his way through. But of course, this race very much not done. As things calm down, things will be easier to slipstream, it'll be easier to close up, it'll be easier to battle as well, and everyone is only one slip and slide away from basically taking out this entire train. It's going to be so hard to battle in these conditions.
Oh, it really is. I mean, there's spray, the car's moving around, you're wet tyres, which in general don't feel as nice as well as, I think Jupp might have gone off for the race lead. We'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, what is going on here? 4 or 5 cars being pushed in towards each other. That is McAuliffe along with Espes. Not the day for either of those two drivers. I think Jot was able to hold on to that one, but definitely had a bit of a wiggle as he came through the S's there. That's not what he would have wanted. Gilbert, defensive line to the inside. Here comes Leo Brown up the inside of Murdoch as well, trying to get the inside line. He's got the slipstream from his friend up ahead as well, but not quite enough to make it work because Murdoch holding on the outside line, and he is, to be honest, he's going to go all the way around the outside. That'll be the inside for the next corner as well, so should be able to hold on depending on how brave he wants to be on the brakes. But no, Brown so strong on the brakes around the outside, trying to get onto the podium, and he's made it work.
Yeah, Direct's teammates, of course, last year was Leo Brown and Remy Gilbert, and of course they do show themselves a fair amount of respect. The partner teams there of Drive Lounge and Team Bennett. Jonathan Riley into the pit lane for the Scuderia Ferrari HB Esports team. Well, Murdoch has run out a touch wide. Iggy Smith will be closing in. Surprised Henry Moore has not been able to close in more up to the rear end of Iggy Smith. And yes, indeed, Cameron Roger, that was quite the slide. I wonder if he's getting ready for some rally driving with that slide. My goodness, that was a great catch.
I mean, that was a crash.
Yeah, right.
that should have been one, but what car control there from Murdoch, just showing you how slippy and slidey it is out there on the track. The cars are not in any way connected to the tarmac. You're just all over the place, counter steering at every single corner, but that was certainly a big one, as we're going to see ascent up the inside. This is Shintani trying to hold on to P13. Got a couple of drivers. This is Perez in the number 14 in P14 trying to make that move. We've also got Joel Hull just behind this one as well, but Shintani for the Williams Academy team holding on for now.
Yeah, Shintani's been working his way back up the order. Diana Perez for the rocked Red Bull Sim Racing or Red Bull Racing team, currently knocking at the door of that 13th position. Like you said, a fair amount of pressure behind as well. Going to run out wide to try and carry the speed through Cops, and Shintani's had a moment. There's Joel Holt, who might be able to get past both of them. Shintani, though, legendarily slams that throttle down on the exit of Cops, is able to fight their way around the outside. Hang on. Bit of
always here comes this is McAuliffe trying to get his way further back up the order. Sorry, that's Janae actually trying to get his way back up the order after some issues on that first lap. As this is the 27 trying to get the run down this back straight. Look at the spray, just a full face of spray here from Pedro Silva. Of course, had the penalty in qualifying a bit earlier, trying to get something from this evening. Trying to be a big set up the inside, big puddle. Didn't go too wide though, and that is actually a really nice slider move up the inside for P16.
Yeah, brilliant for the Aston Martin Aramco Esports team. Gogo Baldi and Rope Kokopau battle here for 11th and 12th. We've got to focus back up the field. It is Alpine Sim Racing versus Team Benning. It is Remy Gilbert trying to find a way past Connor Jupp, your race leader. Remember back to, what was it? It was Thruxton, and Connor Jupp was involved in that train, that battle for the podium, battle for the victory, and unfortunately had a bit of an incident. He'll be looking forward to putting that one very softly in the rearview mirror, but of course he'll have to fend off Gilbert, Brown, Murdoch, Smith, and potentially even Henry Moore before we even see the checkered flag. And don't want to be the bearer of bad news, we're not even halfway through this race. We're 20 seconds away from it.
Yeah, this has got a lot left in it, that is for sure, as Gilbert goes to the inside to try and retake the lead that he had in that first race. What a move, to be honest, down the inside of these wet conditions. Brown's trying to follow him forward, so Gilbert takes the race lead. He had this in race one, but couldn't convert. Let's see what he can do now, because Brown is going to be chasing him through. Jupp is holding on. He's doing his best. And as you say, we've got Henry Moore in behind, but he's a few seconds off. He's not going to be in the battle with this by the time they all get through.
Leo Brown is... yes, a fair way off in the championship hunt. He sits 91 points behind Matt Caruana. I think the important one, though, is, again, we know Matt Caruana's missing from the final round of the season. We know he won't be at Brands Hatch, and now won't be scoring any points in this race as well, so things will be tightening up in the championship hunt as well. I'm sure he'll be more focused on where Remy Gilbert is, on where Henry Moore is when it comes to that championship fight. He's not a million miles off of either of them, and especially with how this championship unfolds, you have one good round and you're thrown straight back into the mix. And with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in this race, there is still a potential victory up for grabs here for Leo Brown. Connor Jupp, though, trying to follow the slipstream of Remy Gilbert, and Leo Brown says, I am still coming through regardless as to whether you're trying to shut that door, mate.
Oh, this is tight. This is tight. Jump squeezing on the inside. Brown might have the run here as Gilbert was using his slipstream to try and help Brown, but to the outside it's going to have to be. The issue for Brown is he's got Gilbert right in front of him, so he can't send it as much as he would have wanted, but this time around he's got it done up into second place. Murdoch is sat there in the background as well, so those two, Jupp and Murdoch, thinking they're fighting for P1, P2, but it's actually P3 and P4 as Gilbert gets away at the front.
And this is it, still 4 for the race lead with Gilbert, Brown, Jupp, Murdoch, Smith. Then finally Moore sets the fastest lap of the race as he's starting to get closer and closer to this group as Murdoch still tries to find a way past Jupp. Coriolanne, Kieran Harding also switching positions to the fastest lap, moves further and further down the order. Circuit is getting faster and faster, and we're seeing that bit by bit around this circuit. But is it getting more and more raceable? Ryan McAuliffe is the one who has the fastest lap and the bonus point that goes with, and he's involved in all this fight with the likes of Joel Hole, of Charles Genet as well. It's all getting very much Pedro Silva having a bit of a slide there for the Aston Martin Aramco team.
Yeah, this is getting tense as there was a big harsh move there by Hull, and now he's having to defend. McAuliffe in the 71's got the inside line as they work their way down towards Brooklyn. Genet, McAuliffe's teammate, is trying to get involved as well, trying to make it 2 cars down the inside of the Freedom Esports, but not quite enough space for Genet there as he works his way now through Luffield. He's got the way outside line there, trying to get a bit of an up and under, not quite enough. He loses a bit of momentum at this point, but McAuliffe's got through, and this is down for the low. There's still points for these positions down to P20, so this is something to fight for, and that is why they are going for it. It's Connor Jupp for second place, has retaken Leo Brown, who must have run wide at Cops.
Yep, certainly so. We saw that a little bit, and now Jupp's the one potentially running wide. Wow, how did he catch that one? Going into Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. I thought he was going to be all over the shot, but was able to rescue it to the apex. And now knocking at the door is Leo Brown. Well, Murdoch as well continues to struggle on the connection, but look in the background, Henry Moore is getting past Iggy Smith as here comes Leo Brown on Connor Jupp once again.
Well, this batting's letting Gilbert get away, but who's going to get second place at the moment? It's Connor Jupp. And Brown goes to the outside line, tries to find some grip around there. That's going to open up the door for Murdoch to try and get through as he work away down the hill in towards the final chicane. Big send time if you want to make something happen. 6.5 minutes remaining of this race, about 3 laps to go by the time they get to the line, although the speed is getting quicker. But yet, no, it will be 3 laps to go at the line, so still plenty of time around this very long circuit to try and make a move. And as you say, Lewis, Henry Moore's in the background now. He's up into 5th place. He's got the fastest lap. Don't count him out, getting up into 2nd at least.
Yeah, Will Chadwick also then has now taken the fastest lap, but Henry Moore importantly then was quicker on that lap than all the drivers that are around him, and the potential chance of grabbing second is up for offer. Leo Brown looks down the inside of Connor Jupp once again. The Alpine sim racing driver gives the room as they go through Village, then into Loop in these incredibly difficult conditions. The east door slightly open, they flick their way through Aintree, now back onto the Wellington straight. It is Jupp leading from Leo Brown, from Murdoch, from Moore, from Iggy Smith in this battle for second position. 2 seconds clear is Remy Gilbert, who is looking like he is set in stone. This victory, his first victory of 2025, as Henry Moore continues to look. Leo Brown is going to try and make the move, and he does find his way through for Drive Lounge Racing.
It is so difficult for these drivers in these conditions. They're sliding all over the place. They're battling for a championship, and they're just trying to keep the car on the road at the end of the day. What a incredible race we're getting here. 5 minutes remain at Silverstone. Second race of the evening. More to the inside, up at the inside of Will Murdoch. That is a brave move there from the driver fighting for the championship, knowing that Caruana is out of this race. Big points up for grabs. Oh, there goes Will Murdoch. He's had a bit of a spin on the outside curb, and there goes his podium chances.
Yeah, unfortunately that one has come to a close. Will Chadwick, Danny Moreno, Harding, Bowley, Aline, Kirkapau, Shoma Shintani all going through on Will Murdoch, who will not be able to back up the BS competition victory here, of course, 12 months ago in the hands of Elias Riker. You can see the gap there between first and second. You can see it's 2.5 seconds. You can see Connor Jupp, though, is hiding behind the rear wing of Leo Brown. Now peeks out as they work their way into the slight dab of the brakes, flicking into the right-hander, into Stowe. That's going to open the door for Henry Moore to come through. Can he find his way past Jupp?
This is an incredible battle. The podium place is up for grabs. Can he make it work around the outside? Jupp hasn't gone in deep. That's opened up the door. More around the outside, up into third place. But having said that, the switchback has worked. And can Jupp get this back? Moore keeps his foot in it, though, on the outside of the final corner. That's actually going to open up the door for Smith to half think about it down towards the first corner. But Moore surely has to back out to this one. Outside of turn one never worked, so he had a good attempt there. But what a defense from Jupp.
Great response there from Jupp. So easy to sit there and think, oh, I don't know if I can fight with Henry Moore, but still got the up and under perfectly. Moore's going to look to the outside going into Village, and obviously look to the inside going into the loop, but alas, there was no opportunity there as Will Chadwick now knocks at the door and finds his way past Iggy Smith. And if there is one driver on this grid that we know is not afraid of going for a move, Will Chadwick, well, he'd be pretty high on that list.
Certainly so, as Chadders hasn't had the run in this championship, not just this season, but the last couple of years really. He's got pace, but doesn't get the results as he goes a bit wide there. There's a little bit of a wiggle. Did you notice that on the straight as well? Probably trying to say to Iggy Smith, follow me through, and we'll try and make this work. But I don't know about that. I think Smith is going to be pretty racy here, having a good, solid result for Aston Martin as well. Here comes Will Chadwick trying to make something work. He still can get this podium, but he just needs to follow Henry Moore through and then try and overtake him.
Penultimate lap of the race. There's a lap and a half left to go. Puddles plenty to watch out for as Will Chadwick slides his way through Copse corner. Still onto the rear end of Henry Moore, someone he's battled with a few times in this championship, especially over the course of the 2024 season. Embroiled in various fights over in that one. And of course, Henry Moore is looking to sneak yet another podium away, to take 4 podiums in a row, to remain at least number 1 on the podium list of this season. He's got 7 podiums to Remy Gilbert 6. If he doesn't get a podium in this one, Remy Gilbert will be taking the lead at least on that one, or at least joint lead on that one. As there comes a look outside goes Henry Moore, who's trying to get the up and under on Jupp, and nearly filling the mirrors was Chadwick.
Chadwick got taken out in the battle for the lead at Alton Park. Does he want to risk taking someone out in return? We'll see. Chadwick sends it up the inside of Moore. Moore holds it to the outside. It's 77 and the 88 going side by side through the final corner. This lets Jupp get away a little bit as we come on to the final lap of the race. And then here comes Iggy Smith, who into the Aston Martin is still keeping in with a shout. And Danny Moreno as well. This has not worked out for Will Chadwick at all. That move was wrongly timed, and unfortunately is going to be losing more places here.
Jupp, will say, in that podium spot. His best result so far in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship is 7th place in the opening race at Thruxton. Yes, he was battling for the podium, battling for the victory in the second race at Thruxton, but he could be in position now. There comes a look to the inside from Iggy Smith. Big send on Will Chadwick. Going to have the inside as they go through Aintree. Chadwick might hold firm around the outside.
Yes, unfortunately that is podium chances gone though, because they're a second behind Moore and another little bit behind Jupp as well. So not ideal situation for Chadwick there, thinking he had the move on Moore, but in the end is now just put him in this battle with Smith and Moreno. So it's the top 7 within 6 seconds, which is not too bad considering the wetness that we have out there on the track. And Henry Moore going for this podium. He's onto the outside as we work our way up towards Copse.
Yeah, this is, again, a brilliant fight between this group. Of course, for Henry Moore, he's looking to retake over the Champions League with his current position. He will retake over the Champions League, but with a look onto the podium, he could be looking even stronger in that one. Jupp was going to remain firm around the outside. What a move, again, from Connor Jupp.
This is working really good, but to be honest, this battle brings Chadders just back into it as well. Jupp is having the race of his life as he slides around, working his way through these very fast corners, though. Actually, they're pretty slow in these conditions. You have to be delicate on all the inputs. And here comes Chadwick as well. He's got the momentum. He's got a run. Moore's going to have to look forward and back here.
Yeah, this is not going to look good for Connor Jupp. He'll have to defend here as they work their way into Stowe. If they can find their way through, if Connor Jupp can maybe hang on, then maybe the podium will be his, but there's still a couple of corners left to go with the inside line, and with the hold, the Alpine Sim Racing driver looks to potentially have done the job. The only driver in the top 5 of the championship that's yet to take a victory this season is Remy Gilbert. Well, that's going to end right now for the 3rd time in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Welcome back to the winner's circle, Remy Gilbert. Superb drive, a 7th podium in 2025. Remy Gilbert will cross the line to take a superb victory and close right up on the championship lead. Just 3 points now will separate first and second in the title race, with Connor Jupp just about hanging on to his first podium in the championship.
About a quarter of a second covering Jupp, Moore and Chadders across the line. What a finish here at Silverstone, and Jupp getting that all-important podium. I mean, it was there in terms of the reverse grid, but he was able to hold on to it. And, you know, unfortunately, Will Murdoch, who was also in that similar situation, had a spin from that one, but the 35 holding on, only 5 seconds off the lead as well. Well done to Alpine there, getting on the podium.
Well, the title race is going to be closing up quite a lot after this one. Here are your provisional results after 9 frantic and very wet laps here at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, the home of British Motorsport. It is Remy Gilbert, Leo Brown and Connor Jupp, the top 3 who will be catching up with after this. Henry Moore will miss out on the podium, but will take over the championship lead by 3 points over his teammate. Will Chadwick in 5th position with Iggy Smith, Danny Moreno, Kieran Harding, Corey Aline and Rope Kirkapow will be the top 10, with Chadwick setting the fastest lap of the race. Shoma Shintani in 11th position with Gergo Bowdy. Will Chadwick in 13th position with Ryan McAuliffe in 14th spot. Pedro Silva in 15th with, of course, Robin Glarum, Charles Genet, Joel Holt, Deanna Perez and Ollie Stone, the boxman himself, down in 20th position. Charles Wimbley in 21st position with Olivia Hayward. Anna Maria Di Pasquale in 23rd position with Matthews. Torlashi, a disappointing race there for the TC Esports driver, and Alexander Strabel, the last of the finishers. Jonathan Riley, Pablo Espes, Lucas Herman and Matt Caruana. Very importantly, the retirement from the race. Well, let's go and catch up with our top 3, starting, of course, with the race winner himself. Catching up with you after race 1, I was confident that maybe there might be an opportunity for a victory. Wet race, and boom, there you go, straight through the field. First victory of the season, a 7th podium, incredibly consistent thus far this season. But you have got that victory, that duck off your back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I must say I got pretty lucky at the start of lap 1. But yeah, from there, just sort of made my way through the field. And then, yeah, just sort of put out a gap to P2 and just held it steady from there, really.
Yeah, what's that like, being in the middle of all that in the opening corner when everything is going left, right and centre? You've got a car spinning on the outside, a car spinning on the inside. It's just mental in that opening corner.
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty 50-50. Luckily, I chose the right route. So, yeah, just went to the right and just managed to miss it all completely. I think it might have been P5 by the end, considering I started 10th, which is that kind of sort of set the tone for the rest of the race. I mean, from there it was I wouldn't say nice and easy, but it was not too bad trying to work my way back through.
You are now just 3 points off the championship lead. Of course, we'll have a week off, and then we'll be back for the final 3-round stretch. Of course, Knock Hill, Zandvoort, Brands Hatch GP. Last season, I distinctly remember, obviously, you had that victory at Knock Hill. You kind of really turned the season around in those final 3 rounds. So how confident are you feeling going into that final 3-week stretch?
Yeah, pretty good. I think Knock Hill is one of my stronger tracks. I think, Zandvoort's going to be, I think it's one of the tracks I struggle with a little bit, but yeah, I'm sure with a bit of practice I'll be there. But yeah, I'm hoping I can sort of repeat what I did last year and just suddenly just ramp it all up for the last few. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, of course, Zandvoort was round 2 last season. It was Donington Park GP that was the middle of that final trio of races. Remy, congratulations on victory. 7 podiums as well this season. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time when we go north of the border.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening.
A brilliant drive once more from Remy Gilbert, another driver to catch up with. One of our top 5 in the championship, now takes over 4th position in the title race. It is, of course, Leo Brown, who joins us here in the commentary booth. The 3rd podium of the season. A great drive through into it as well. By the time you got up in the 2nd spot, Remy had absolutely run away with things. It was 2.5 seconds, I think, by the time you got up into that 2nd. But what a crazy battle. Those 2 races, very different on conditions. What was it like out there?
Yeah, being race one dry, it kind of threw me off a bit. I wasn't really expecting that, but yeah, managed it okay. Just struggled slightly with pace until it sort of clicked midway through. So yeah, that was good in the dry, and then yeah, I knew the rain would be my best chance at something decent today. I picked up some front wing damage from somewhere around there, and the drier it got, unfortunately, the slower I got. So I was almost just hanging on towards the end. So I would have liked to have a little go at Remy for the win, but no, he drove really well, and yeah, happy with P2.
Obviously, you were involved in that 5-car fight as well for the victory in the opening race of the evening. So a 5th and a 2nd, 2 solid results to take away from here at Silverstone. And again, we get a couple of weeks off before that final 3-round stretch. I was talking to Remy about that. How confident are you feeling going into that? You currently sit 63 points off the championship lead. Do you think that's a plausible gap to close down in that final run?
Yeah, I know I've got the ability there to do that. I think I was 80 behind coming in today, so that's nearly 20 points already. So yeah, I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I keep mentioning it, you know, trying to play safe and bag the points where I can and let others trip over themselves. So yeah, you got to take the points in this championship and move on. But look, anything can happen. So as long as I'm in the hunt for the last round, then yeah, you never know what can happen and who might come out on top.
Great stuff for yourself and the Drive Lounge Racing team. Best of luck over the next couple of weeks and that final 3-week stretch heading into the championship finale at Donington. Brands, rather. I don't know where I'm at.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
There we go. Leo Brown there onto the podium for the 3rd time this season. Someone who's new, though, into the podium. It's time to be joined by Connor Jupp, who, of course, was battling for podium contention back in Thruxton. You've had some great pace on and off this season. But finally, you do get that podium in some insanely difficult conditions. And we've got to start talking about some of those moves, some of the repasses, some of the defensive work that you were doing with Henry Moore. That was absolutely incredible. What was that like behind the wheel of the car? Looks like your heart rate must have been through the roof.
Yeah, it definitely was. As you said, I've been fighting for some podiums in a few rounds this year, and yeah, unfortunately ended up with DNF. So it's nice to finally get the job done. But yeah, that race was a bit crazy. Obviously, I think everyone could see I didn't quite have the pace, so I had to make hard work a bit for the other lads, and I couldn't quite hold the front 2 boys behind, but yeah, luckily could hold on for the last step of the podium. But no, really happy with that.
Obviously, this is maybe a bit of a breakthrough round, 10th and a 3rd. Great results on that. Do you think that will open up the opportunity for maybe some more podiums? Because again, we've seen you fight for it. I distinctly remember that Thruxton round, which of course was looking so great until it very quickly wasn't. Yeah, is this opening up that door potentially, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, we was fighting for a podium at Thruxton. I was leading the race last week at Alton until an unfortunate bit of contact, bit of netcode took me out of the race. But yeah, I'd like to think that this is the start of some momentum for sure. At least we managed to get across the line in both races. That's a step forward in itself. But yeah, moving forward now, obviously, myself and my Alpine teammate Rupert is making step forwards, and we're making our way up the grid. So hopefully by the end of the year we can be fighting right at the very front.
And with that, of course, you know, this is not an easy field to be racing at. These are a field of drivers that really understand this car through and through. What's that been like as a learning process in this, which really kind of has seemed like, you know, throwing yourself really into the deep end, to be honest?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know too long before the season started that I'd be doing this. But yeah, these guys are just incredibly fast. I haven't quite got the outright pace yet, as you can probably see from my qualifying results, but we are getting there slowly. But yeah, it's just nice to up the sharp end. It was difficult in that race, obviously, with the 3 teammates in first, second, and I had to try and keep Henry behind. But yeah, honestly, I'm just glad to be able to try and fight for these sorts of podiums.
Well, thank you again. Big congratulations. Thank you for joining us here in the comedy booth. Great drive onto the podium. Thanks for putting on such a good show. Get that battle against Henry as well. We'll speak to you soon, I'm sure.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
There we go. Top three caught up with Connor Jupp. Fantastic drive there. Fantastic drive, though, from Remy Gilbert, who, of course, sits second in the championship now behind Henry Moore. Cam, what a superb round of racing once again at the home of British Motorsport.
Yeah, that was quite something to round off a triple header. We get a week's break before the next one to finish the season. It is really hotting up in the championship. It's so close with 11 points in the top three. Anything can happen. I mean, even Leo Brown, as he was saying there, might have half an opportunity if some more shenanigans happen. And we go to the trek of shenanigans, Knock Hill up north next time round. I cannot wait for this.
It has always been a turning point in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Yes, indeed. We're not racing next week, but when we're back in 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading north of the border to the Knock Hill circuit. It is fantastic. We only have 3 weeks left to go of the championship. Knock Hill, Zandvoort, and of course the Brands Hatch Grand Prix track to round out the 2025 season. A superb evening of racing here in the British Formula 4 Esports Championship. Of course, thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to Hugo Luis for bringing us broadcast. Thank you to yourself, Cameron Rodkins. Thanks to me, Lewis McLean. I don't know about that one. We'll be seeing you, of course, in a couple of weeks' time. We'll be getting back on the road for the British Formula 4 Esports Championship.